Hello, everyone. Welcome to Norm America Show. I'm back. I didn't know if I'd make it this week, but here I am having a week. Normally, I'm optimistic. Today, I'll just say I'm having a week. I don't know if good week quite meets the definition. Do I look washed out? Do I look like green? I don't know. I should have made you wait longer. I should have. But here we are. I'm grifting tonight. We got a grift going on. So I do look green. Let me try to. Someday I'll figure this out. Uh, um, white balance. Maybe that looks a little better. Maybe. Okay. Um, I do not have cancer. It is not my cancer diagnosis that we're be talking about. I guess theoretically I could have cancer and I just don't know about it. But we will talk about one problem I have tonight. Anywho, yeah, it's been a trying week for me. So those that follow me know I've been trying to leave my other job. I put my 2 weeks in. The nature of the job, working with people with disabilities, is the person that I work with individually, we're unable to provide care for in certain situations. So they were in different facilities. While they're in those different facilities, my job was largely being on call. I got the call, baby. So I spent the past 2 days in a hospital. Not the most fun thing in the world. Difficult to stream, obviously. Difficult to keep up on things. It was a lot of medical stuff that it was necessary for me to be doing. So I'm home now. I guess that's all I have to say about it. When I formally leave my job, maybe I'll talk more about life in review. 14 years at the same job, finally leaving it. Nonetheless, I had some momentum streaming. I planned to keep going through until at least this weekend, but unfortunately, didn't work out that way. So I'm back now, baby, and I'm here grifting. The reason I'm streaming a little earlier than 10 o'clock is, now listen, no one get mad, all right? I was watching Andrew Wilson on whatever, and there's, all right, just thought of something. I was watching him on whatever, and I think they're wrapping up. So I was like, maybe some people in that audience will come over to my audience. That was the plan. I don't know if it'll work. I'm trying to get better at grifting. We'll see. It does not come naturally to me. We'll talk about grifting tonight. Now I got a yellow tint. What is the story? We're going to leave the tint going the way it is because I'll keep adjusting it. People will yell at me all night. So it is what it is. There we go. Thomas O'Brien's here. I did it. And let's be honest. Thomas, you're the only one worth a shit over at the Crucible audience anyway. So as long as we got you, we're set. Now, we will be grifting money tonight. Of course, during this difficult transition, I will be asking for people's money. So we're trying to raise $357 on YouTube donations per evening. We will get that amount tonight. I'm quite certain of it. Am I looking that yellow? Ah! Now, you have no idea. I'm going to be here all night. Where's the... Why won't it let me configure the video? Here we go. All right. More yellow, less yellow. Let's go here. Let's try that. Oh, no. Holy cow. Now I've done it. Can you all still hear me? Are you happy? Are those people happy? There we go. Are you happy with what you've done? No! You've ruined me. Better, not better, they say. Whatever. This is it. Boomer Rob at it again. We're 5 minutes into the stream and I'm shutting off my camera. It's worth tuning into me just to watch me struggle through technological issues. It's good stuff. All right. Before we get going, I got all kinds of stuff today. Grift-centric, criticisms of myself, cancer stories for Joe Biden and another person. But first, I thought I would start with this. I'm trying to support other streamers because I like other streamers. Not everyone that I like will you like. Some of you will say, I really hate that person that Rob just said that he likes or that he was going to have on his show, etc., etc. C'est la vie, that's life. Not everyone's going to like everyone else. But I try to be loyal when people I thought have been decent to me in the past. And so, in that notice, I needed some more decorations for the background here. And so I purchased something. And I don't care if you guys like it or not. I like it. So my son's favorite color is green. So I picked this item out. It is a painting. And I will show that to you now. Here's the painting I purchased. My son is a fan. I enjoy it. What do you all think? That's going to be hung up in my office here somewhere. Hopefully in where the camera can see it, but perhaps not. But that was painted by fellow streamer PX Bullet. That's who painted that. She's been on a winning streak with the 764 cult that she's been sort of calling out for a long time. Stupid camera. There we go. So I was a fan. I saw that and said, I would like to purchase that. So I did. I purchased that. However, given that and another purchase I made today, you all got to start donating money because now I'm in the poorhouse. Who would have thought? What am I doing here? There we go. Nash Trekker. Oh, I'm reading an old comment. I'm like, I look yellow again? My color is bad on my camera again. Oh, well, I apologize. Naughty Germ, thank you so much for the $5. My color was this, then I made it, and they said, nope, your color's too yellow, and so I'm not going to keep going. Why don't I take PTO off my job? How? That's the problem. I can't. I'm not going to lose it, hopefully. I have over a month of PTO saved up. So when I started working with Andrew, the intent was that I was going to use that and then be done. But they can't find anyone else to work. So I have to work. That's all there is to it. It's not the type of job where if you don't show up, oh well, life goes on. It's the type of job that if you don't show up, there's no human being with someone that needs care. So it is what it is. One more time, I'm going to try to adjust this. And then this is it. All right, that's the best I could do. I don't know. I'm colorblind, so it's really hard for me to do these white level adjustments. By the way, Naughty Germ's awesome. The rest of you suck. He's the only one that's donated. Anyways, we're grifting today. We'll get to the super chats and the grift later. Let's jump into the subject at hand. I once more didn't make a Norse notes. That was my bad. So we're going to eschew that. Today, the theme of the show is going to be cancer diagnoses and my reaction to them. Two people in particular that I want to talk about. It's not just a general thought on cancer. It has to do with the cancer diagnosis that everyone's heard of, which was Joe Biden. And then also someone that I deeply respect that's influenced me, which is Scott Adams. Scott Adams, famous for creating Dilberts, predicting Trump would win in 2016. I watch him probably as much as any other streamer. I watch Scott Adams. And so, real bummer to hear he basically has the exact same form of cancer that Joe Biden's been diagnosed with and basically only has weeks or months to live. Kind of a bummer to get that news today. So, we'll talk about those two things. I believe I'll start overarchingly with just a little theme on my view on these sorts of stories, and then we'll dive deeper into the situation with each of them. So, I can't, Max, on OBS, I don't have sort of an RGB thing, but it's all right. Well, I'll deal with it later. I will, I promise. So, anyways, I am of the belief that no matter how heinous a person is, I always try to remind myself that somewhere out there they have some sort of family that love them. That's probably true even of the most heinous people, like serial killers, people that harm children, etc. So I don't really take pleasure in anyone getting diagnosed with a terrible illness. There are obviously times where I say, "Yep, good, that person wasn't meant for this world," and or that person caused a lot of harm. But I always try to put it in the perspective of, was there a person in that person's life that to them, this is a son, this is a father, this is an uncle, this is a grandfather, a husband, or whatever. And I always try to think that way. I also put more personal, I put more moral culpability on people that take personal bad actions, I guess, rather than those that may take political actions that I disagree with. For example, although I find socialism despicable, when Bernie Sanders passes away, I won't be like, well, he deserved it because he wanted high taxation and was a hypocrite and Green New Deal type stuff. I'll probably be like, I think he was misguided, etc. I do not think that other people have to live by that standard. I'm not going to sit here and wag my finger if you don't do that. If you want to make fun of, Herman Cain dying, I think it shows that you're grotesque, shows that you really want a lot of people to get COVID and die that politically disagree with you, but whatever. Same if you were happy when the Pope died or you were happy when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, whatever. I'm not here to make those moral proclamations as into that, sort of thought crime that you may have. To each their own. I think it's dangerous to call for violence. I think that it's sort of despicable how people wish death on people. But in general, that's sort of the mindset that I try to have when these things occur. Given that, when looking at the story with Joe Biden, I'm by no means Joe Biden fan at all. I think he's been terrible and an immoral person, and quite possibly in worse ways than just his politics and the way he votes. Having said that, I assume that he has family that loves him. It's, metastasized prostate cancer is not something that I would wish on anyone. And so I actually feel bad for him and for his family. And just from purely a symbolic standpoint of being a former president, even with the death of Carter or things like that, it is something that you should, for me, I take stock of as someone that's like, I don't particularly take pleasure in that. I don't. There was this running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers that went by the name of Rashard Mendenhall. Does anyone remember good old Rashard Mendenhall? And when bin Laden was killed, he made statements that was like, I'm not going to cheer for the death of bin Laden. And I knew what he was trying to say. Unfortunately, it didn't come across that way. Most people were not buying it. They were like, what? Excuse me? But I knew what he was saying. I wasn't offended by it. So anyways, that's my milquetoast take on cancer diagnosis, or when you get information that someone died of natural causes. That's it. It's not some great take. To each their own. You won't find me, yeah, eat that, Biden. That's not what I'm going to say. I don't like Biden at all. But that's my take on it, as milquetoast as it gets. All right, let's dive in now. Why should I believe that the same people that lied about Biden's cognitive decline that are now writing books about it saying, actually, he was significantly declined in 2020? Why should I believe them now that they didn't know about his cancer diagnosis? Particularly when he's stage 4, it's metastasized to the bone, and normal, although it is theoretically possible for something like this to spring up in a matter of months, that's so abnormal. Most of the time, this is something that takes years to develop. And I'm supposed to believe that the president of the United States, with theoretically access to what you would think is some of the best medical resources, they just missed it? One take I saw from someone that I thought was interesting was the same people that tell us that they want government-run healthcare are now telling us that the government missed the president of the United States developing stage 4 cancer. Why would I believe that? It isn't theoretically possible. Of course. Most things are. But when you have a pattern of intentional deceit in regard to this specific topic, covering up for Joe Biden's health, previously his mental health, now talking about his physical health. Why would I believe you when the circumstantial evidence points to you're most likely not telling the truth? If it came out that Joe Biden has stage 1 cancer, I would say, yeah, that's entirely likely that since he dropped out or since the end of the election, he went and got tested and they caught an early form of cancer. That would seem reasonable. Stage 4? I'm sorry, I don't believe it. And I understand there's going to be a lot of people that say, oh, well, you don't have any proof. You don't have any proof that this. That's true. I don't have definitive proof. That's absolutely true. I have circumstantial evidence at best. You're right. But you also don't have any proof. You don't have any proof that he was just diagnosed now. There's no proof of that either. You're just taking his word for it. And what I'm saying is, when you cry wolf over and over, I no longer believe you at face value. So when I could look at the circumstantial evidence and say, most forms of cancer that are developed at this stage would have been in a body for a long time. This isn't a person that wouldn't have access to medical care, like, a poor person or, someone who's homeless. This is the president of the United States going to Walter Reed. So circumstantially, it looks like, yeah, he probably knew he had cancer for quite some time now. And then on top of that, when we're taking the word of the people that are telling us this stuff, we can see with our own eyes that they lied to us for 4 years about his cognitive decline. And now they're gaslighting us like they never did it. What? What are you talking about? There was all kinds of things. Remember when he had a cyst removed and they were like, yeah, it was benign in like 2022. Was it? Remember at his home in Delaware where they were like, we're no longer keeping a visitor log. Now, could it be that it's all just a coincidence? It could. But given the circumstantial evidence of what we know about this type of cancer, and given the history of the lies about Biden's health, why would I believe them? Now, you may say, what does it matter anyways? Well, it matters because I'll fully concede that actually I think this story matters less than the cognitive decline story. That's right, Nash Trucker. We'll get to the super chats, I promise, but I gotcha. Lying about his cancer, let's say that the cognitive decline never occurred. Joe Biden, let's say he was diagnosed with cancer a year ago or longer. Did we have as the American people, have a right to know that? Not just him as president, but him running for president again. I would say absolutely. We'd have the right to know that the guy we're potentially voting for may have to step back because he has cancer. I don't remember that, Andy. Andy says, good evening, Rob. Do I not remember Biden said oil had given him cancer and they said he made a mistake? I don't know. That's despicable if they lied about a cancer diagnosis because they were trying to shoehorn it into the office. But it's sort of irrelevant in the grander scheme of things at this point. Because we already know he wasn't fit to be president and not for cancer reasons. He wasn't fit to be president because he's a human vegetable. And the Her audio proves it. And everybody knew it. And they lied right to your face. And they smeared Robert Her, who, by the way, did Biden a favor by letting him off the hook because he was so mentally incapacitated. And yet still they argue, nope, it was a lie. It was cheap fakes. Robert Her's a dirty, dirty liar. He's sliming him politically. That's what they said. Not being able to physically perform the duties of the president's one thing. Not being able to mentally is a different ballgame and worse. And we already know they lied about that. And then once the her tape breaks and all of a sudden everyone in the media is trying to cover their own ass. Oh, it wasn't us. It wasn't us, says Jake Tapper and Axios. And we were duped. Oh boy, we were duped. How could we have known? It would be impossible for us working for multi-million-dollar media conglomerates that have access to the president about every day. It would have been impossible for us to know that they were covering up his decline. Unlike the average American that has, like, a TV set that could see it. Then they have the balls to sit there and go, how dare you? I've seen people on social media saying this. It's outrageous that people are accusing Biden's team of lying, of covering up his kid. How dare you? How dare you? How about because they and you, Mr. Social Media Poster, lied about his cognitive decline? So please, spare us your righteous indignation. What a load of shit. Liam diagnoses me as fat. Your eyes work. Congratulations. You must have been one of the ones that could see Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And now what? We're supposed to sympathize with Biden all of a sudden? Oh, well, poor guy has cancer, so I guess forget about that lying about his cognitive decline story, right? I mean, he has cancer. It would be rude. That'd be rude, right? You could have all the sympathy in the world for Joe Biden. He's not the villain. He's not. My criticism isn't at Joe Biden. Put yourself in his shoes for a second. If you start getting dementia or you start slipping, most people don't want to admit that, and I understand why. I can still do it. I'm okay. I have my moments, but I'm okay. The problem was the people around him. That's who I blame. The immediate people around him, like his son, like his vice president, like his cabinet, like his wife, they knew, and they kept shoving him out there. The media knew. The rest of the Democrats knew. All the Republicans in Congress knew too. Everyone with two sets of eyeballs knew. And yet they lied. Right to your face. In the most blatant of lies possible. Nope. Don't believe the objective evidence you see right in front of you. You're being manipulated, they said. Meanwhile, we need to censor disinformation. These are cheap fakes. That's what they told you. Now, we all knew it forever. And yet, it's not until Jake Tapper starts writing a book and now the her audio comes out that people are like, oh, isn't that weird how we work that way? Deep down, you could know in your heart of hearts that something occurred. And yet, still, the majority of people, until some official authoritative source says, yep, this is the way it is, they'll just go, I don't know, I can't prove it. Now it's not looking good for Biden. Oh, he has cancer diagnosis. Oh, okay. What's that have to do with you, Jake Tapper? What's that have to do with Kamala Harris? What's that have to do with Pete Buttigieg? And all the other Democrats who said, we're talking to Biden behind the scenes. We can't even keep up with him. He's so brilliant. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but you understand what's going to happen, right? Everybody knows this. What's going to happen is all of those people that blatantly lied to you, they're not going to be held accountable at all. They're going to move right on to the next story. And they'll get away with it too. They will. Yeah, I know that. How's Trump polling? How's his numbers polling right now? How's his popularity? Anyone know? How's he polling on the border, the economy? Well, if you tune into the mainstream media, he's doing terribly. Real Clear Politics average has him underwater on almost every issue. And so therefore he is, perceptually, on social media. When you hear people cite these statistics. And even when you talk to people that ought know better, they'll be like, well, the polls, even I'm guilty of it. And yet, we all know the polls were bullshit. Remember the poll in Iowa? From that pollster, she really knows Iowa better than anyone. She had Kamala winning by like 9 points. Remember that? She was 15 points off. And yet, until an official definitive source says, yeah, this is kind of garbage, we all just run with that narrative. It was easy to see certain things. The Afghanistan withdrawal. How about this? I remember saying there's literally people hanging on the airplane's wings as the airplanes are flying out. I'm quite positive as they were in a mad rush with people jumping on this plane that they didn't vet everyone. No, said the people I talked to, the Democrats. No, they vetted everyone. They vetted everyone. Really? And of course you found out months later, actually, it turns out they didn't vet everyone. Now it says an official report. No. I'm shocked. Now we can talk about it. Yeah, Hutch nails it. What was that lady's name? And whatever the fuck her name was. Right. That's exactly it. I'll be happy to never hear that name nor remember what it was. May she live in infamy. They could lie about the lockdowns. We just we need some sort of study to tell us that this is going to hurt the economy. Massively printing money. We need some sort of study to tell us that this is going to cause inflation. And you might be saying, not me. And I'm saying, not me. And yet, when that study breaks, we're all going to go, see? That's what we're going to do. It's sort of like how Republicans are they're so ingrained in them losing that they can't wait for someone like Bill Maher to say something, and they're like, oh, see, Bill Maher gets it. In any sane world, Bill Maher would be told to kick rocks. And yet, there'll be me commenting on a Bill Maher video. Oh, yeah, see? Even he's waking up. The amount of lies that were told during that administration that we just have to pretend didn't occur. And we all see it. We see it. And we call it out. And we're like, there it is. And then the next news cycle hits. And the same people that told us those lies are talking about the next news cycle. And we're all participating in it like, no, I think you're wrong because XYZ. They told us that Tony Hinchcliffe's joke meant that everyone in the Republican Party hated Puerto Ricans. They told us that Joe Biden was a cognitive decline. They told us that Donald Trump was a spy for Russia. And a dozen other things. He said Nazis were good people. He said drink bleach. And then, on to the next thing. Never accountability. Jonah Goldberg left Fox News for CNN because he said the 2020 election, he was disgusted that network wouldn't call out what he saw as propaganda type stuff in favor of Trump. Is Jonah Goldberg going to leave CNN now? For their cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline? No, they're not. They're not. Now, I'm in a position as an entertainer and as a streamer. You all don't want to hear me talk about the same thing every day, presumably. I could sit here. By all rights, I should sit here and talk about the pandemic every day and the disastrous effects it had. I'm not over it, and I never will be. I'm sorry. Intentionally destroying the world economy and intentionally making people's lives hell because they didn't want to take a drug that you were trying to force upon them? Yeah, it kind of sticks in my craw a little. Sorry. My bad. But then I got to watch the liars that peddled all that bullshit and now say, what lockdowns? We never suggested lockdowns. We never, oh, no, that's outright. No, we didn't do that. Move right on to the next bullshit. Right on to it. HN says, the Russiagate stuff's so old and played out. I don't know why you keep bringing it up. Cool. Then Trump's team's allowed to pay for opposition research and use the FBI to spy on whoever the Democrat is in this election, right? It'd be played out. Who cares? Why focus on it? Meanwhile, we'll see. I won't hold my breath, but Kash Patel says more information on Russiagate that's pretty damning will be released in the next 2 weeks. I'm sure HN will write it off as, well, my side did it, so it's not a big deal. Meanwhile, January 6th, say the Democrats. That's not old and played out, though, huh? Did Democrats team up with Chinese government to release the virus? No, Democrats intentionally shut down the economy and locked people down. And I'm pretty sure Anthony Fauci is a Democrat. And yes, he did help fund the Wuhan lab. Must not have heard it. I guess CNN wasn't covering that story. So now the people that are peddling this hoax, that peddled this hoax about the cognitive decline, they're going to get away with it. They're not going to be held accountable. Jake Tapper's going to sell a bunch of books, and he'll be on CNN next year, and he'll be saying, Donald Trump accuses his Democrat opponents of lawfare. There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence. No evidence for that. How dare he? Now let's bring on Adam Kissinger. He's going to tell us, Adam Schiff. He's going to tell us how Trump's really a Russian stooge. Go ahead, Congressman Schiff. Yeah, I agree. HN says, where's my evidence that Fauci's a Democrat? He was pardoned by the Democrats. It's not just about Republican Democrat. It's about establishment people that want to maintain the bureaucratic power of the state. Fauci's certainly one of the heads of that. Let me check something real quick here. Sorry, just got a message. Was checking it real quick. Also, to anyone watching on Rumble, thank you so much. I see the 4 of you. I need to remember to check my Rumble chat every once in a while. Look, there are interesting questions about the legality of Joe Biden's appointments, Joe Biden's using an auto pen. I don't think those will go anywhere. I just don't think the legal challenges will stand up to scrutiny. The more important point is the political point, and it has nothing to do with Joe Biden himself. The vast majority of what we consider the traditional establishment media, almost the entirety of the Democratic Party, and most of the political commentators you see that identifies left-wing or Democrat online lied to you blatantly in the most blatant of ways. about his cognitive decline, Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And now they're gaslighting you that it didn't occur. You should never believe them about any political opinion from this point forward. If we have any sort of just accountability in this country, none of these people will have any influence or authority going forward ever again. But wait, they have a thought on the Alien Enemy Act. I don't care. I'm not even saying their thoughts on the Alien Enemy Act couldn't be correct. It may be. I just don't care to hear it from them. Because if it's not correct, they'll still lie. They don't care. They don't care at all. No statement they make has any relevancy to me because I have to fact check anything they say. The bare minimum of anything they say. Why? Because they lied to me about something so blatant that I could see it with my own two eyes, and so could every other person in the world. And they lied right to our face. And now they're lying about lying. So I don't care what they feel the next Trump scandal is. I don't care. Unless you could show me, yeah, actually, I was calling out Joe Biden's cognitive decline, and I'm outraged that Democrats covered that up. And by the way, it was one of the most anti-democratic things imaginable. But most likely scenario now is not only did they lie about his cognitive decline, they lied about his cancer diagnosis. What was the plan? Well, they wanted Biden to win the presidency and then drop out after a couple months. They would have had him drop out and said, oh, it wasn't the cognitive shit that the Democrats used or the Republicans pushed cheap fakes to lie about. It's not that. He has cancer, though, so he's going to step down. I said that earlier. I said that's what they'll do. They'll say Joe Biden's stepping down because of other health problems. That was the plan. Who would have voted for Kamala? No one. But there we go. Nice little puppet president. In many ways, she's kind of like Biden. Biden was a vegetable, so he was easy to control. And Kamala basically has no opinions. She'll do whatever she's told. One day fracking bad, next day fracking good. One day force busing good, next day force busing bad. Whatever bullshit I have to say. So you'll elect me as a figurehead so the people behind me could run the show. Just like they did with Biden. But it didn't work out, did it? Because we all saw in the debate how far he fell off. And many of them, remember even after that debate, you remember? There were still people, Democrats, that were like, well, it wasn't that bad. He was sleepy. He just had a stutter. There was jet lag. Remember that? There was jet lag. That's what was going on. He was on a plane. Wasn't that bad? Actually, Trump's cognitive decline's worse, they said. Remember when we saw the one reporter that was holding the card that was like, here's the question, here's the order of the people Biden's going to call on and the questions? Has anybody ever answered for that? Now I saw a report admitting that even for like little puff piece interviews with local media stations, as early as 2020, they had Biden using a teleprompter with answers already put into it. Remember when there would be videos shown of teleprompters and stuff and they were like, that's misleading. Nope. Turns out it was true. Now the media is like, yeah, it was a little odd that he never took like questions really, less than like any other president. And we didn't really have access to him. That was a little odd. Geez, it would have been nice if you said something, while he was president, while he was running for president again. But that was never the goal, was it? The goal was to never tell the people the truth. The goal was to cover up the truth because they wanted their guy to win. That was the point. Yeah, how many times did we hear Biden say something like this? The Easter Bunny is still the funniest thing. No, not that. I'll probably get in trouble for letting you all ask questions. Biden would say that several times. He said that at press conferences. He had handlers. The Easter Bunny had to handle him around. And those people, they knew it. Everybody knew it. They knew it. They did not give a shit. And then they lecture you about democracy. What did I say the whole way going through the election? I'm a Republican. In name, I guess. I vote Republican. I'm registered Republican. I didn't get screwed out in the Democrat primary. It wasn't me. It was the Democrat voters. Why did they install Kamala Harris? Because they didn't trust their own voters. They thought they might have an opinion that the establishment Democrat people didn't like. They couldn't risk that. But Rob, isn't it true that if the president or the candidate after he's nominated gets sick, that it's not anti-democratic to replace him? Yeah, but that's not the case. That's not what happened here. Do you honestly believe that all of these Democrats didn't know about Joe Biden's cognitive decline before he won the nomination by default in 2024? Of course they knew. Of course. And they lied because what was really important was beating the orange man. So we're just going to shove Biden through the finish line again. He did it once, he could do it again. That was the plan. And if we're honest about his cognitive issues, well, that might help Trump. So we're not going to be honest. We're going to ignore it until after the election. Oh, what's that? Democrats end up losing? Now the truth could come out. Oh, it was mean old Joe Biden's fault. Wasn't our fault for covering it up. He'll be dead soon anyways. Place all the blame on him. By the way, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala, you all might be next to get thrown under the bus. You see, that's the thing when you're an establishment politician. All of you are expendable. Your utility only lasts insofar as you provide more benefit to the establishment than harm you cause. And if they need to scapegoat you, they don't give a shit about any of you individually at all. And so they might end up saying, yeah, Kamala should have known. You might see Jake Tapper saying that. If they look and they say, doesn't look like Kamala's going to be able to do much going forward for the Democratic Party. We need to distance ourselves from her. That's what they'll do. And Kamala will go, but I was a good little soldier. They're not concerned with that. What have you done for me lately? That's why they remember, they kind of got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. The plan was they weren't going to accept the normal debates with Trump. Instead, they offered one that they thought Trump would never accept. It's going to be earlier than usual. It's going to be on a network that we know will be biased for Biden. He'll say no. Then Biden will say, see, I offered to debate him. He's afraid. He's afraid. That's what they would have said. Nope, we're not doing any more debates. And Joe Biden would have ran the campaign from his basement. That was the plan. But on the offshot that Trump did accept, well, let's move the debate up early enough. That way, in case Joe Biden poops himself on stage, we'll have time to replace him. And Joe Biden took a big, stinky shit right on that stage. So they replaced him. They didn't give the Democrat voters a vote. Again, I don't care. Great. I'm glad that you replaced him with Kamala Harris, who was terrible. She was the one candidate that had all of the negatives of Joe Biden and none of the positives. Because you could connect her directly to the Biden administration, and Biden's policies weren't popular. Anyone knew would have been better. Pete Buttigieg would have been better, though he could still be connected somewhat. But now they went with VP Kamala. Okay? Again, why did they do that? It has nothing to do with me as a Republican voter. They didn't want the Democratic voters to have a say in the primary because they did not trust they would have liked the results that they saw. And then they have the nerve to lecture everyone else about democracy. Who was running the presidency in last term? Who was it? Who was in charge? I don't know. Do you? Was it Ron Klain? The Obama holdovers? Was it Kamala Harris? And yet these people will lecture you about, oh my goodness, Elon Musk at Doge, leaving a private citizen that was unelected have this much power. You don't even know the names of the people that were running Biden shit. There's one person who I know it wasn't, Joe Biden. That I do know. It wasn't him. They don't care. Well, I trust he had surrounded himself with good people. Right, which has been my argument the entire time, that actually the real power is not with the president or with Congress. The real power is with the unelected bureaucrats. And I was called a conspiracy theorist. Now their argument is, well, who cares if Joe Biden was cognitively declined? He had good people that were running the show behind him. I'm sorry, did anybody vote for those people? But Rob, isn't it true that presidents, none of them run everything themselves? Yes, that's true. But it's also true that they have final say and their brain's not mush. Joe Biden didn't even know the people that were running stuff. Brock Van Wagner says the DNC literally denied the Democrat voters of the right to pick their candidate, and every lefty said nothing. Yep, because Orange Man bad, which again has been my argument. I'm not saying that these people on the left don't have values. They do. I'm sure that quite a lot of people that are Democrat voters probably care about democracy. I'm sure that they care about kids in cages to some extent. But that's not their central concern. Their central focus is quite simply Orange Man bad. And so, if they have two competing ideas in their head, well, I like democracy, but Orange Man bad. Okay, I'm okay with the Democratic Party eschewing democracy. I'm cool with it. I'll keep my mouth shut. And almost none of them were saying, yes, this was anti-democratic, but Trump swore, so I'll vote Democrat. Very few were saying that even. At least that you could kind of forgive. They were like, no, what are you talking about? This is not anti-democratic. What? Excuse me. Now we have this cancer diagnosis. We're just supposed to move on. Just move on from it. Just move on. Now, I'm not moving on. And I don't care if it's boring, and I don't care if everyone on the left goes, Rob, we used to respect you, and now you just bring up the same stuff every time. Why can't you move on from it? I don't give a shit what those people think of me. I don't care. Those people could kiss my fat ass as far as I'm concerned. Not every leftist or Democrat's like that, by the way. Mehdi correctly called out what was happening. Again, let's go through the timeline. They lied to you for years about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. They tried to push him across the finish line. It blew up in their face. They installed Kamala Harris with no one voting. Then they ran on democracy. That's what they did. Not one Democrat got to vote for Kamala Harris to be the candidate for the Democratic Party. Not one. And they were perfectly fine with that. And they were perfectly fine with gaslighting the American people that, no, don't believe your lying eyes. Those are cheap fakes. Cheap fakes. Now we have this cancer diagnosis. Well, let's stop talking. The cancer diagnosis does nothing. Again, if you're out there and you're saying, as I said to start this off, I actually feel bad for Joe Biden and his family when it comes to, I don't care. I understand when someone's dying and gets diagnosed with a serious illness like that, I try to remember that there's some humanity in them, look for some amount of good, and that they have family that loves them, and I take no pleasure in it. But this isn't Joe Biden I'm criticizing right now. It's all of the people around Joe Biden that lied about his mental health and most likely lied about his physical health and knew that he had a cancer diagnosis. And it's all the people in the media that could see with their own eyes. And they lied. That's what's going on. So do I feel bad that Biden had a cancer diagnosis? I do. I legitimately do. Do I blame you if you don't feel bad? No. But I feel bad. I'm not going to celebrate it. But not for 1 minute does that mean I'm going to be like, oh, never mind then. I guess I'll stop focusing on the point that every day we find more evidence that all this shit that the Democrats said about Biden's cognitive decline was an obvious lie. We already knew it was, but more and more evidence comes out for the normies to see. Now we have the Hur tapes. What's that? The Robert Hur tapes released and showed that we lied about his cognitive decline? Send out the cancer diagnosis story. Rob, that's a crazy, unhinged conspiracy theory. Yeah, you know what else was a crazy, unhinged conspiracy theory? That Joe Biden had cognitive decline. Only it wasn't. That's what we were told it was, only we could all see it with our own eyes. And now the same people that lied to us blatantly about that are like, but trust us on this one. How dare you not trust us? Yeah, I don't trust you about anything. Doesn't mean that it's not possible that Joe Biden just got diagnosed. Doesn't mean that these people lie about everything. But they'll lie if they think it advantages them and they can get away with it. All right, before we get to more talk of Scott Adams' cancer diagnosis, what the hell are you doing, audience? I have 4 super chats right now. Oh, now 5. Magus came in. We're going to read some super chats. But you've all shamed yourselves and me. How dare you? How dare you? So, in order to make up for it, I assume people will get some super chats in now. As always, we're trying to get to $375 per stream so that I don't have to go crawling back to my job, which I was having a bad time at. So we'll get to those super chats in a second. Before we do, though, I just want to let you know it doesn't come natural to me trying to berate people into super chats. And I've mentioned this on stream. But if it is your job, then it's your job. And you gotta try to do what you can to make money. I'm a person of modest means, but 357 a stream is about what I'll need to break even from the job that I'm leaving. So that's what I'm shooting for, so that my quality of life doesn't diminish. I could continue to never have to wear the same pair of socks twice. I could eventually buy an air conditioner and a gazebo. And that my wife and kid aren't missing many meals. So, appreciate the donations. I really do. I know that times are tough for some people. Times are tough for everyone. But I'll appreciate your money. Don't be selfish and be concerned about your own livelihood. Be concerned about my livelihood and send in that money. Now, having said that, I do have trouble asking people for money and stuff. One of the people from the Crucible, one of the fans of the Crucible, put this on social media, and I have to admit, I thought it was one of the funniest things I've seen in quite some time. So, here we go. Let's see if I get this working. There we have, there is Virgin Rob Noor versus Chad Andrew Wilson. Now, you'll see here on the left, Virgin Rob Noor. I lost a little weight there, I think. I think that's fair to say, right? Let's see. I can't even do that right. We'll just lost a little weight. I hope that by the way, can you all hear me? I think that you'll all be able to hear me here with the way I have this pulled up. But as you can see, I'm not upset about this. I think this is largely accurate. Still waiting to see if can anybody hear me? Can y'all hear me? I'm hoping. Yeah, introspecting. When can you hear me when I go in the background like this? Can you still hear me? Check, 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 check. Okay, okay. The boomer strikes again. I thought so. I'm still getting used to StreamYard here. Anyways, I think this was a correct take. I'm very much not into berating people for money, even though I'm told that I'm supposed to be. So we got hits such as, guys, please only donate if you have money. Ashamed to grift. Thank you so much for the $2. Reads every super chat, lol. Literally cares about his audience. How embarrassing. 0 videos behind a paywall. Please don't waste your money. Befriends hate watchers. And then we have Chad Andrew Wilson. Just wants you to shut the F up and pay. Woman, bring me a drink. Every single stream behind a paywall. It's time for an obscene profit break. Tells haters and trolls to F off. Give me money, effers. Host TikTok invasion on payday. Give 0 Fs for the grift. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Pretty accurate, I feel. I try my best. I do. I think I'm getting better at grifting. That's the goal, to become a world-class grifter. So I think I'll be all right. I think I got the debate shit down, the streaming stuff down. It's the grifting that I need to work on. So we'll work on said grifting. We will. And we'll get better at it. But until said time, I still really appreciate you all. And I always will really appreciate you all. I know I'm supposed to pretend to be mad and be like, what the hell? We're not getting enough subs in here. What's going on? Why aren't there more? Why aren't there more subs? Why aren't there more super chats? What the hell's going on? Yeah, not really best. What's up, King Belly? Me and my family are doing well. Thank you. Let's read the super chats that have came in. Robert Whaley gives 5 memberships. Thank you so much, sir. Always appreciate, Robert. You're incredibly generous. Nash Trucker says, Rob is green. Money is green. I should donate. Psyop working. Yes. The green hue on my camera is subliminally affecting people. Corey Barton for $2 says, remember, Big Soda loves you. Thank you. Big Soda always looking up for me. Magus, been incredibly generous as of late, too. Thank you so much. Gives 5 memberships. Thank you. Robert Whaley for another $10 says, I hope I wasn't out of line suggesting a stream between me and Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. I think he really interesting, would make for great content. I love Mark Mitchell. Follow him on X. Big fan of Rasmussen's polling. Mark's in a unique position, right? Because I had this friend, Todd Bartley, that I used to do a radio show with. And I was always fascinated because Todd's a legit journalist. He went to school for journalism. He was a sports journalist covering baseball and things like that. And then when the pandemic hit, he basically fell into being the only journalist in Pennsylvania with a press pass that would challenge our governor, Tom Wolf, and all the ridiculous shit that he was saying. And so it was fascinating to me to talk to Todd both on air and behind the scenes. What's it like to have a profession that you were excited to get into, that you respected, and now you look around and see everyone that's in that profession with you is absolute garbage? What's that like as a journalist? Where you literally got into journalism going, I'm just covering baseball, covering hockey. And all of a sudden it's like, and I'm the only one asking any questions of any politician in this state. That's how I feel about Mark Mitchell. Imagine being a pollster that's trying to do shit right. And you look around and you just see your entire industry being devastated by propagandists. What would that be like? You're like, wow, I actually thought there was utility in this job and respected it. On one hand, it's weird because your utility goes through the roof. If you're a journalist that cares, you're more useful than ever. If you're a pollster that cares, you're more useful than ever. But it's got to be weird. So, yeah, Robert, thank you for the donation. And I look forward. Mark followed me on X after you reached out to him. Hopefully, I talk to him soon. I would love it. Naughty Germ, thank you. Always so generous for $5. Says, HN calling you out. Put your money up as a super chat. Support the show. To HN's credit, in the last 2 shows, I believe he's donated. So you can't listen. Here's what I'll say about HN. HN, terrible takes, but he keeps coming back. And how many times do you see someone that hate watches someone who's actually donating money to them? So I appreciate HN. I think it makes for better content when there's at least one person in the chat that's very vocal and massively disagrees. So, but I don't mind my chat making fun of him either. So, Kevin Fox, thank you so much for $10. Thank you. Says, just looking to hear your Brianna Wu voice. Brianna Wu. I'm having trouble today. Hey guys. I don't know if you know I was in Gamergate. Hope I did justice there. If I considered talking to Jay about geopolitics, Jay Dyer, I assume you mean? I would love to talk. Oh, Crucible rating coming? Nice. See, my grift's paying off. I'm smart. I know what to do. Don't worry, I got something special for the Crucible too. Tomorrow's show is not going to be a political show. I'll tell you right now what I'm doing. I have an idea to make it even crazier, but the bulk of my show is going to be talking about the 1991 animated classic Beauty and the Beast, which happens to be my wife's favorite or second favorite movie. I think that Gaston, the villain from Beauty and the Beast, is not only not a villain, I think he is one of my favorite characters in all of Disney. An absolute Chad of a man who's misunderstood. A man sacrificing for his community. He could have given in and slept with these 3 triplets, but no. He found a woman that he saw becoming a proto-feminist that just wanted to sit around and read and was shitting on her dad who was trying to make a living to provide for her. And he said, I will make her a family woman. I will make her a wife and a mother. Thank you, Gaston. Not only risking his life to provide for the village. Not only that, but trying to domesticate this feminist broad before she could convince all the women to quit, to go into the workforce and start reading books. That is amazing. All right, Crucible raid came in. Crucible folks, thank you for raiding. Thank you, Mr. E. Thank you, Andrew Wilson, who crushed another debate today. You got to see it to believe it. Andrew had the look of a guy who just debated feminists for 5 days in a row on whatever, which is exactly what it is. Did you ever watch the X-Men movie, the late 90s one, where Rogue, her powers go right and then she gets the white streak in her hair? I'm waiting for that to happen to Andrew. He's just going to have a big, bright white streak in his hair just from debating all these feminists all the time because he's going to lose his mind. That's sort of what I see. Now, I talked to all these people from the Crucible crew. I don't know if any of them are in here right now, like Lost Avarice, a bunch of other people, and they're telling me that I'm a poor grifter. So I just showed my audience this, but I'll show it here. I actually find it very difficult to ask people for money. I don't know. I know this is becoming my job and I have to ask people for money, but I'm still transitioning. So someone from the Crucible crew made this. This is the Virgin Rob Noor versus Chad Andrew Wilson when it comes to grifting. I can't even be mad because it's basically true, except I don't think I'm that skinny. I think I got a little more meat on the bone. But yeah, that's basically an accurate comparison. Also, what's Andrew wearing there? Yellow cowboy boots? Maybe. You never get to see his feet, so maybe. But yeah, I can't really complain. So I'm not sure if that's a compliment or a criticism or just a joke. But good stuff. Anyway, so I'm trying to get better. The goal is here on the show, now that I'm an employee of the Crucible, I, in addition to that, need to make some money on my own in order to supplement my old income from the job I'm transitioning out of. So the amount of money that I need to make a night, anyone in the chat know? How much money do I need to make a night? I made it a nice, fun number to say so that we know when we get there every night that we hit it. So when it comes to just YouTube Super Chats memberships, we got to get to... Someone will know. That's it. 357. That's right. And being a technological whiz, I actually made this little video with a sound effect. Check this out. Now, I know if you guys are coming from the Crucible, you're not used to amazing technological feats like that. It seems as if I just conjured that video out of thin air with a sound effect, mind you. Watch this again. Ah, yes. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to read a couple more super chats, and then I got another grifty thing to do, and then we'll read more super chats, then I'll get on with the show. Where were we? John Rock, as always, generous. $2 says, welcome to the Crucible raid. Yes, welcome. Thank you so much, John, as always. Vita, for $2 says, thought on Pakman. Backing out of the Destiny debate collaboration. He's weak. He's a coward. Listen, first off, to back out anyways is absurd based over allegations. What? You didn't know that Destiny was basically a degenerate? You didn't know that? You didn't? That whole circle was? You didn't know the bed you were lying in, David Pakman? But let's say hypothetically that you find these allegations outrageous and you can't work with them. Okay, fine, to each their own. But it appears as if David Pakman knew about these allegations before he agreed. And he signed a contract. And they sold tickets based under the auspices of David Pakman's going to be there. Now, personally, I don't know anyone in my life that would buy a ticket to see David Pakman speak, but apparently some blue hair lefty wanted to. And regardless of what you think about politics or the organization that was doing the anti-MAGA tour or whatever, they're trying to make money too. They've made promises to people based on contracts that they signed. That's business. So anytime someone drops out like this, it's outrageous. And what's worse is Pakman knew about these allegations, allegedly, and he just didn't like the pushback he was getting from certain groups. So like a coward, he backed out. My take on the Destiny allegations from the get-go has been quite simple. I don't care. If he released these videos without women's consent, that sucks, that's terrible. If he wants to debate me still, I would debate him. If you're one of his friends, like this Dan guy that said, you know what, I'm going to stick it out, I'm going to stay friends with Destiny, okay. There's a weird loyalty to that. But the people that I found despicable are the ones that heard about these allegations and still worked with Destiny because the allegations weren't public, because they were making money and they were getting audience members by working with Destiny. And then once the allegations came public, they said, oh, even though I knew about these, now I'm going to get pushback, so I'm going to temporarily walk away. I have no time of day for that. That's cowardice. That's grifting in the wrong way. Robert Whaley for $5 says, welcome, Crucible Crew. Thank you, Robert, and thank you again, Crucible Crew. Cole Vick for $5 says, for $3.57, also Crucible Raid, another Andrew W. Also base Gaston W. Thank you. Thank you. See, everybody racking up W's today. Tainted Holy, nice to hear from you again for $5 says, you should have seen Adam and Sitch's show this Sunday. Tim Pool is so dishonest for 4 hours. 5 minutes of Adam Conover is dumb. TDS on their show is real. It's always been that way. They're pro-establishment people. I can never pronounce your word name. Gyratatis for $10 says, what's up, Rob? God bless you and your family as always. Crew, have mercy on Andrew for Jargate. Thank you. Even though I can't pronounce your name, I always appreciate you. Robert Whaley for another 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Seawolf for $5 says the grift must go on and will even forgive your Kansas City Chiefs logo. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Seawolf. Zen's Forehead, always great to hear from you for $5 says, need money to support yourself and your family? Weak. Give it to Rob instead. I know, these selfish people eating, paying their mortgage, providing clothes for their kids for school. Selfishness. V. Scott for $2. Thank you. Says, fine, take this small amount of money. You got me, buddy. Did it. Hooked him. Jordan Lofgren, as always, thank you for $5. Says, did I watch Jay debate Not So Bright? She's the most bad faith debater there is. Worse than T-Dump. Both Jay and JB destroyed her. God bless you. I saw more of Jim Bob's debate than Jay's, to be honest. But yeah, Erudite at least has an appropriate name. You can give her that. And Jet for $5. Thank you. Says nothing. Appreciated. All right, you ready? We're going to grift here. There's my wife. She's joining in on the grift. Thank you, wife. She's happy because for research for tomorrow's stream, I got to watch Beauty and the Beast. So tomorrow I'm going to watch the live action one too. So I'm suffering for you all. Thank you so much. Now listen, Crucible fans, if Andrew's not streaming tomorrow night, I think it's going to be a good one. I mean, even he is streaming, it'll be a good one, but I have a special plan. Now, last thing before we get back into the show, we're going to talk a little more grifting here. I've taken the criticism seriously that I need to be a better grifter. I need to shut down the show until we reach a certain amount of money, donations, etc. And so, I used my technological expertise to come up with something here for you this evening. Most of the music that I enjoy listening to. Oh yeah, Mr. E, I hear you, man, about those camera settings. If you're still listening, after the stream, I already screwed up my camera trying to fix it once. So I thought, being that I'm an amazing creator, that I would write a song for you all in an attempt to grift. Now, everybody knows I'm going through a painful transition right now. I need help. Your financial assistance is much appreciated. You know that you can donate to me on PayPal at Robert Knorr or buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com. You know you can get super chats in. You know that I figured out how to use the banner function on StreamYards. I also now have Cash App at $Rob Knorr. My goodness. Watch out, world. I'm learning the banners thing, and I figured out how to get Cash App. My wife figured out how to get Cash App for me. But that's not the little journey that we're about to go on. And so, I present to you my new we're going to be big grifting here. And I would like to play you this little song. Now, you have to donate. You have to donate. This took effort. This shows you that I'm putting effort. Look at this. Look at this image. Maybe I made that with my own hands. Maybe I commissioned some artist to make that. We don't know. But you can see I'm putting in effort to the grift. I'm big grifting. But it does not stop there. So I present to you Rob Knorr's hit single, Big Grifting. Ready? Here we go.
Transition, so get out your wallet and quit your bitching. Birthday Bucket 7 is the dollars he needs, but he will take more cause he is full of greed. Big Grifting, Big Grifting, Big Grifting, Big Grifting.
Don't get excited. I stopped writing lyrics after that, so.
Big Grifting. Oh, 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 oh.
True. For Shizzle gets it. Don't worry, we're looking for your number. I'll get those texts in. Make you listen to the whole 3.5-minute song too. I got it, Naughty Germ. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. The first Cash App sent. I gotta be quiet so we can hear the sweet ass guitar riff.
Big Grifting. Ooh, Big Grifting. Ooh, Big Grifting. Ooh, Big Grifting. Whoa, Big Grifting. Big Grifting.
Oh, the stinger at the end, right? Oh, it's amazing that for all you know, I wrote not only the lyrics to that song, but also the instrumentals. I was doing them all in my garage. It took me a few hours today. So I can't thank you all enough. I hope that the grift was successful. It looks like it was pretty successful. So I figure if I have to come on here and yell at everyone for money, I might as well have fun while I'm doing it. So fully admit that that was inspired by Andrew Wilson and the Coom Tunes that he's bringing, and also by the great Hymns of Pirate. What's he go by here on X? He's always donating. He's incredibly generous. Who made me a song there the other day that was absolutely phenomenal. So I did. I'm looking for $357 a night. That's what I'm looking for. But I will take $457 tonight if I can get it, because it cost me $100 to sign up for the AI music thing. I mean, to hire the band to make that song. So if we get $457 today, that'll recoup my losses and give me the money that I need. Let's get to those super chats, and we're moving on to the next topic. I think you guys have been crushing it. Bobby Ballbags, always appreciate it. $5 says, I need me some auctioneer Rob GPT. We'll get to it. I'll do some auctioneer stuff for you in a minute. $5 again from Bobby Ballbag said, someone please affirm Rob's transition. I think we're affirming. Lost Avarice, one of the people that inspired me to grift better. Thank you so much. $20 says, for all the effort, Big W Rob for the crew. Also, Avarice, I will get back in touch with you. For those that are just joining me, even though I've left my job to become a full-time streamer and to become an employee of the Crucible, unfortunately, in the 2 weeks notice that I put off that was supposed to be me just taking 2 weeks vacation, a medical emergency arose with one of the people that I support. And so I got to spend the last 2 days for 40 plus hours in a hospital with no devices largely. I did have a phone on me, so I was able to do a little stuff. But yeah, it was not the most fun of times, but that's all right. We're getting through it. We only got 1 week left. Magus Head, thank you so much for $5 again. Says absolute banger. I thought so. Thank you so much. That, you know, I really worked on those guitar riffs. V Scott for another $2 says, damn, you got me again. Shit. Little, what's that character's name from The Wire? Shit. Thank you, V Scott. Appreciate it. Anthony, $10 for the grift. Thank you. Dano for $2 says, not bad. I think it's working. That's the goal. We're trying. Darth Maul takes time out of harassing Qui-Gon Jinn to give $10. Says, just to hear Rob say, treat me to 7 again. Let the grift reign, brother. Thank you. Absolutely will. Bill Hicks, one of my all-time favorite comedians, and my former avatar, that exact picture on the website of Above Top Secret. For the transition. Very brave. So proud of you. Thank you. Arnaldo, incredibly generous for $50. Says, thanks a lot, Rob. Thank you, Arnaldo. Appreciate it, man. Barry for $5 says, Palpatine, soon you will become the new master of the dark side grift. I'm not very good at impressions, but I try. Silent, always incredibly generous. Thank you so much. Griff's 20 memberships. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. And Janice, always generous as well for $10, says, Rob, great to see you back on. We're going to get the song you played last week, Trump Lives Rent-Free in My Head. Play it again. Keep at it. I will play it again. We're going to get to some actual content here. Now that I've successfully grifted, let's get to the content that no one gives a shit about, right? They just want to see me grift. Blank Field for $5 says, yelling at leftists on my behalf is a grift I endorse. I'm more than happy to do it. In fact, let's throw the offer out there. If any lefties want to call in tonight, I don't know how many are watching. I know there's at least one. You feel free to call in. We'll talk about any subject that I've talked tonight or your choice. Doesn't matter to me. Always have fun wrecking you people. And I could do it in a polite way most of the time. If you missed it, my debate with Mel is up. In fact, let's go over that. So my editor, Black Elk, cut down my 5-hour debate appearance on Sarah Tomato's channel the other day. Cut it down to a measly 20-something minutes. So let's do it. Let's review my own debate a little. Why not? It's my channel. There's no rule that says I can't review my own debate. So I'll review my own debate briefly. Let's get this set up, shall we? I will put the link too if anyone's interested in checking this out. You can always go there. Likes are free. So if you want to help out my channel, particularly my non-live stream content, you can go over and give this a like. For a second there, I thought I had the same shirt on, but this one has a pocket with trees. I'm not wearing the same shirt. I swear I do laundry. I bathe. All right, here we go. Now, this debate was on, the topic was, is gender the same as sex? So this was well into the debate, but it became very esoteric. You're going to hear the word schema a lot. I'm going to tell you what that means to the best of my knowledge. But let's jump right in. This is Mel Cosmic Fox is the person I'm debating. There's Rob Knorr, real man's man, on the right. And then Sarah Tomatoes, the moderator. Here we go.
Into things like this, they're often social constructs. And the funny thing about social constructs is that they don't always exist within the plane of reality.
Good point. So the point I'm going to make is when I said, could each of us define differently? You talked about the definition is people that have this schema of thinking different characteristics. And you said different people in different areas of the world could have different ideas of what those characters. Now, schema is a term that Mel used early in the debate to try to complicate her definition or his or their, whatever, definition of what a man is and what a woman is. So the definition was something like a man is someone who identifies with the schema of men. And I was like, what does that mean? It basically is a complicated term that a $5 word that basically means characteristics of. So when you hear schema, interject this. You think that the definition of woman is someone who identifies with the characteristics that they think women exhibit. That's it. So we'll continue here. Characteristics are. You yourself said that the characteristics that made you think that you're a woman, the schema, you said, oh, I didn't know you meant my schema. And then when I said, well, what is it that you think are the characteristics that make you identify as a woman? You said things like long hair, things like that. So I know someone who identifies as a woman who's fucking broad shoulders, butch. She has large gamete production. She has a vagina. She has short hair. She's got tattoos. She wears the clothes that we normally associate with men, flannel shirts and shit. Yet she identifies as a woman. Her schema is the exact opposite of what you say a woman's phenotypes would be. Is she wrong that she's a woman, or are you erasing her?
No, this all just proves my own point that I was making, that we actually can't use biological traits to determine gender identity and vice versa. And by the way,
there's no answer here. And you'll notice this was very similar to what Andrew was dealing with in his debate today. You'll make a point and there's no direct interaction with the point. It's just, no, you're wrong. And now I'm just going to make some totally unrelated point. So this is devastating for Mel's argument, because Mel's argument is, well, woman is someone. There's already a problem when you're defining something with the very term that you're defining. So if I ask you to define woman and your answer is something like this, well, I define woman as the things that make up a woman. Clearly, you could see the problem with that definition. So I'll say, okay, well, let's define each term in your definition. And the last word we're going to get to is, once more, woman. That'd be like if you say, Rob, define hate. And I say, well, hate are things that people consider to be hate. I've said nothing. Every time you hear one of these people argue that there's not some sort of biological connection to what a man is or what a woman is, their definition is going to be something that basically is a complicated version and very wordy that boils down to this. If you think you're a woman, you're a woman. If you think you're a man, you're a man. They're going to make it complicated now because they understand the absurdity and optically how bad that looks. So they're going to say something like, well, no, actually, it's the schema of the identification, characteristics that we normally associate with people in different parts of the world that could have different definitions of what these associations are, and the characteristics are through the schema that they exhibit as women. And it's like, what you just said was, if you think you're a woman, you're a woman. So we spend a large portion of the debate sort of parsing through this. And when you really get down to, no, I'm not saying if you think you're a woman, you're a woman. It has to do with the schema. It has to do with the characteristics. And the problem's like, okay, so then if we simultaneously agree in this chat, we all say, okay, the characteristics of a woman is, being petite and wearing makeup and having long hair and, accentuating breasts and all of this stuff, the clothing that you wear, wearing dress, and okay? If we all agree with that, hypothetically, which there's no evidence we would, everyone could make up their own mind what they think the individual characteristics are. But let's say for the sake of argument, we did. So then we would say, then women are people that present as those characteristics. But then if you say, well, no, wait a minute. I know someone who calls themselves a woman and they have a vagina and they were born a woman, and yet they intentionally do everything that is against that stereotype of how women present themselves. Instead of wearing makeup, they refuse. Instead of being dainty, they work out. Instead of wearing dresses, they wear flannel. Are they a woman? And Mel can't answer it here. Because if the answer is yes, then it's like, okay, so then literally the definition of woman is someone who exhibits the characteristics of a woman or who does the opposite. Imagine if you defined any other term like that. Let's define the term bicycle. A bicycle is a vehicle with pedals and two wheels that operates with a chain. Or the opposite. What? It's just insanity. So watch how she doesn't answer the question.
When you first asked that question, I definitely misheard you. I thought you were asking more about like within the scientific community, like if we read like a scientific paper, can we read that paper with different definitions and would it still mean the same thing?
Rob is an old school policy debater, Barry. I qualified for the national debate tournament, actually. So yeah, I debated for 4.5 years at Clarion University and then was a policy debate judge and coach there. But good pickup. I do have a little bit of the speed.
Because that was what you were just talking about. No, but you can definitely meet people who feel like it's more masculine actually to be a good, be good with kids and be funny and actually have good emotional self-regulation rather than being like super angry or loud or whatever, versus other men who think that being loud and strong and super imposing on people and stuff like that. And, not caring about kids so much as they care about work and, women can't be funny, so blah blah blah. Like all these things, these things vary a lot between people. So I definitely misheard you there.
Okay, so then now notice one other thing to notice here, and this became incredibly frustrating as this debate went. I'm guilty of talking in long-winded ways myself. Certainly true. So I'm not begrudging Mel for doing that. But notice how I relatively sit there quiet, and then I start to talk, and you'll see what happens routinely is. Right out of the gate, I'll get interrupted. And also notice that answer was non-responsive to me. In fairness, so you would acknowledge then, now that you're hearing me correctly, let's say that there's 500 people across different channels that are watching us right now. Each of us could come to vastly different conclusions on what the schema of what a woman is. We could all have 500 different unique proprietary definitions of that schema of what the characteristics that a woman exhibits are. I think you muted, perhaps.
Yes, sorry. Yes, I did.
No problem. So there could be 500
yes,
different definitions of that, correct?
No, because not everyone's necessarily going to have the same one. Just some people will.
No, wait a minute. So if you're telling me right now that if I asked, let's lower the number. If I asked 10 different people, define to me the characteristics of what a woman is, that there's not going to be differences in each of those definitions?
Some differences, not total differences.
Okay, nonetheless, there would be differences. And when I asked you what your schema was, I'm telling you, and you could say I'm full of shit, but I guarantee you probably personally know people that this is true of. There are people that exhibit almost the exact opposite characteristics that you were saying the schema of women, such as being butch, having short hair, etc. Please, let me finish. That still identify as woman. So even if I ask, for example, a butch lesbian who's like ripped, facial piercings, exhibits like basically the characteristics that you would associate with a man, but she identifies as a woman, if I asked her, well, what are the characteristics that you think normally identifies a woman? It's entirely possible that she could say, oh, being petite, having long hair, wearing makeup, and yet still I call myself a woman. So why is, when she's admitting that the schema of what she says a woman is opposite of what she is, and yet she still calls herself a woman, why is she wrong?
Wait, no. First of all, can you provide me anyone who's like that?
Yes. Mel just asked me to provide an example of a butch lesbian. As if they don't exist. Now, how far down the rabbit hole of your own bullshit ideology do you have to be To pretend that you don't know any people that call themselves women that dress like dudes, that have short hair. Like, you're just completely unaware of the lesbian community? You didn't know that existed? I mean, it's laughable. Can you provide an example? What do you want me to do? Get in the phone and call someone? I used to work with this lady when I trimmed Christmas trees when I was like 15, 16. Butch lesbian chick. Built like a brick shithouse, man. It's funny as shit, too. I liked her. I thought she was funny. Older lady, but 20, so maybe 30 years older than me. But you want me to get her on the horn? It's just insanity. And again, all of this is, the thing that's frustrating about these debates is not only is it just not in reality, it's just this, well, we're just going to make up definitions of words and shit, but it's like pulling teeth to get any basic concession of anything, even the most benign. How can you prove that lesbian women exist? What are you talking about? Meanwhile, their whole argument's going to be, well, you're erasing people by just saying that gender is sex. There's plenty of lesbians that would say, I'm abnormal for what most women present as.
So in the butch lesbian context, these schemas, again, like I said, the butchness is a rejection of the norms, right?
Sure.
So someone aligns with that schema still, but they also reject them. So that person might also say, yeah, I'm a woman, but I don't do what other women do. But other women care about being pretty. They care about having nice long hair, or maybe even straightening or curling it. I don't give a shit about that, right? And so again, gender expression varies heavily between people, even if their genitals don't vary that much.
But that's going to be bad for your argument for two reasons. One, it proves that your definition isn't a necessary condition, to go back to that term.
I don't need a necessary condition.
Now, the necessary condition thing was the old chestnut. Well, if we could prove that there are people, your definition of gender that has connection to that's biological sex is bad because there are things in between with biological sex. You could have intersex people. You could have people with, lacking any gamete production, etc. Of course, those exceptions don't mean that the rule doesn't exist. In fact, quite to the contrary, they prove the existence of the rule, which is why they're exceptions in the first place. And we had this whole debate about this. Is like, if I asked you to define a living organism like cat, how many legs would you say a cat has? 4? But I know a cat with 3 legs. So therefore, we can't say cats have 4 legs, correct? That would be an incorrect, it wouldn't be a necessary condition to making a cat. And so that's sort of what this discussion of necessary condition was about. It proves that it's not a necessary condition because your definition, correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, woman is someone who has like the schema or exhibits the characteristics of what they think a woman is. And so down you're saying, but it could also be the opposite of that. That a woman could be someone who intentionally subverts the expectation. So it could literally be the thing or the opposite of the thing.
So when you run into things like this, they're often social constructs. And the funny thing about social constructs is that they don't always exist within the plane of reality. Now,
again, there's so much. I haven't done a lot of these debates recently, but I did a lot like 3 years ago. And it always comes down to this. The definition of woman and man's always going to be, it's going to have flowers on it. It's going to have all these bells and whistles, but it's going to be, if you think you're a woman, you're a woman. I debated someone that said this. There are 3 characteristics that make up a woman. One is the way that you present yourself. The second is sort of the biological characteristics. And the third is how you self-identify. And so, for example, for one, how you present yourself. Are you wearing lipstick? Are you wearing makeup? Are you wearing clothes associated with women? The second is your physical appearance outside the scope of that. Do you have broad shoulders? Are you muscular? Well, then you're probably a man. Do you have large breasts? Then you're probably a woman. And then the third is how you subjectively identify. Oh, okay. Well, that has some sort of connection to at least what we would consider biological physical characteristics, right? Well, no, here's the problem. Because I give the same example to that person. I said, okay, so let's say your 3 definitions, the clothing you wear, the makeup you wear, basically all of the cosmetics you put on, that's category 1. Category 2 is your physical makeup outside of that, not your genitals, but your strength, etc., etc. And then third is how you self-identify. So if we say a woman normally wears a dress, a guy normally wears like flannel and blue jeans. If we say a woman's normally smaller frame, it's not that strong, can't lift as much, man's stronger. Okay, let's say we have someone who has a vagina, but they're butch. They present, the clothing they wear is that of what we associate with men, and their physical frame is bigger. They're working out, their shoulders are broader, they don't have much of a chest, and yet they identify as a woman. So 2 of the categories we would say men, but their self-identification is woman. Is that a man or a woman? What do you think the person said? What do you think they ended up admitting to me? Did they say, well, that person's a man because 2 of the 3 criteria I've given, they're men, therefore they're men. 2 out of 3, right? No, that's not what they said. They said it's a woman because they self-identify as a woman. Right. So if that's the one that matters, if that overrides the other 2, then that's the only part that matters. If you say you're a woman, you're a woman. That's their definition. That makes the term meaningless. It means nothing then. Any word that if it is a purely subjective definition has no utility. If all of us right now in this chat decide that this is a baseball bat, if I'm talking to people outside of this and I say, this dude walked up and smacked me in the head with a baseball bat, what does that word mean? You're like, well, do you mean like a cup? Or do you mean like what everyone else calls a baseball bat? Now let's say that each of us watching do that with some other object. Well, this is a baseball bat. And this is a baseball bat. And this too is a baseball bat. Now what does it mean? You see the problem? You can't just have totally subjective definitions. The entire point of language is to have a mutual understanding of what the sounds that are coming out of our mouth mean. That doesn't mean it'll always be perfect. For example, some concepts it's difficult. If I say love, that might mean slightly different to you what it means to me. If I say cat, the image in your head might be a black cat, the image in mine might be an orange cat. But nonetheless, there's some connection to, we at least understand that there is a definition, that we have some idea mutually what it means. If it literally means cat, the sounds that come out of my cat means whatever I choose that it means, then uttering that sound means nothing to any of you. Anyways, we'll continue with this nonsense.
Happens is we start with like a term that we use more colloquially than accurately, like gender. And then we realize.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. So that's how they define man or woman. Then when you start to get into all these debates, after all the him and han, it's going to be language is a social construct. Right. So that means every word has malleable meanings. It can mean whatever. Again, that's nonsensical. You're right. We as human beings have created language and the concept of it. But just because of that, that doesn't mean that we can arbitrarily change the definition to words, whatever we subjectively feel. Once that becomes and Mel has to know this, and you want to know how I know Mel knows that? Because we're literally having a debate. There's an implicit understanding that the words that each of us are saying are understood by the other. If it's okay to make the definition of the word woman whatever I personally think it means, then every word that you're about to hear me and Mel and Sarah utter going forward, why wouldn't it be the same for those? Well, we'll arbitrarily decide each as individuals that the sounds that are coming out of our mouth to make these words all mean whatever we as individuals mean. And yet there's an implicit understanding that that can't be the case.
That like, oh, we're calling this group woman, but these other people who basically do the exact same schema as the woman around them with the intent to participate in it, and yet we exclude them. How does that make sense? And then on a discussion evolved over time, you can say that's postmodern or cultural Marxism. Some of those people may have been, but not all of them were. Some of them were just.
I'm mucking it up because I keep calling Mel a she. First off, there are slight TO's terms of service things that occur on YouTube, but it's not intentional I'm calling she. I couldn't even remember. Like, I didn't know, because I've never seen Mel, I didn't know if it was a biological man or woman that I was debating until the debate started. I asked. I keep screwing up the pronouns, though. Normally I would say they just to try not to run afoul of... In my real life, I think that it's absurd, but it is what it is to not run afoul of terms of service and what have. But I legitimately had no clue until I asked Sarah before the debate.
Very curious. How can we have this discrepancy without us actually either including them in, or like you said, coming up with the new term. The reason they didn't come up with the new term is what that paper talks about, the utility of it. It depends on what you're researching. If you're researching trans-specific healthcare, then of course you're going to want to ask people what they were assigned at birth, for example, or if they've transitioned or anything like that, because those details will matter greatly to the results. But if you're doing a sociological study on something that has nothing to do with gender and your only options are men or women, how do you know if a trans...
So again, the point is, well, if you are doing a study particularly on how people identify, then it would be important to ask them how they identify. Yes, agreed. But why do we have to change the definition of the word woman and man to mean that? Then you just say, we're doing a study on how people self-identify. Do you feel you exhibit the characteristics more of a man or a woman? And even the definition Mel gives is not going to help the very criticism that was just outlined there. In that study, if you want to know, people that self-identify as men are more likely to do X. Maybe it's more likely to end up in the hospital. Okay. But what does being a man mean if you self-identify as a man? I self-identify as a man because I present the characteristics of what I assume men are. And then the next person goes, I identify as a man because I assume the opposite of the characteristics of what I assume men are. Because I'm being a man ironically. What does that study really show? It doesn't show people that exhibit characteristics that are more associated with men, whether they be biological male or female, are more likely to do X. It doesn't show that. All it shows is people that call themselves men are more likely to do X. What's the utility of that?
Woman has selected man or woman. That's variability in your data. That's bad for research, especially in the soft sciences. So the best way to confine that is to remove that. In broader society, unless you want to be wrong, it's better to ask people, for example, what are your pronouns? And then they'll tell you, and then you can respect it, right? It's just the utility in society is a common courtesy thing. And the reason for this is because gender is not just a social construct, it's an internal identity, it's a behavior. It has nothing to do with biology. Biology happens at a much lower level in the neurobiology dogma, right? So you can have any set of biology and still give a certain set of behaviors, and likewise, you can have a specific biology and give a whole range of behaviors. Category A does not tell us about category B.
Okay, so that was a lot. Notice that I was pretty generous in allowing that to go on for quite a long time.
Category A does not tell us about category B.
Okay, so that was a lot of words to say absolutely nothing. What your study is actually going to say, the way you described it, that from now on, I'm going to pause 10 seconds every time you interrupt.
Okay? Yeah,
if you're going to open your rebuttal, buddy, if you're going to open your rebuttal with an attack on my points, then you can sure as hell expect not to be.
Now, from the person that doesn't know how to define, that thinks the definition of men and women are suggestive, comes, if you're going to rebut me by attacking my points, then I'm going to interrupt. Now, again, far be it from me to argue semantically, but it is the very nature of a rebuttal to argue your points. So to act like this is some sort of... Now, you have to remember, this is like an hour and a half into the debate. And so both me and the moderator are fed up with this. It's every time. I mean, I don't know what to say if that doesn't exhibit sort of the type of discussion we're having. Now, admit it, there was a point like 2.5 minutes into Mel's screed there that I was like, and tried to say something, then I backed off. But it's like, as soon as I start talking, anyways, neither here nor there. That's sort of what a debate is. It's an attack on each other's points, correct?
Check this out. We've only got about it's right around 10 more minutes left. So if we could be respectful of each other's time. You guys have been fairly mild this evening, but still pretty interruptive to each other as well. So if we could just respect the last 10, and we'll get into the open panel, and then the cutthroatery can occur. Okay.
Rob, I will say I'm sorry for assuming you don't want to be wrong about the things about the claims you made.
If you're going to attack my position in this debate, then I get to interrupt. Yes, that's a debate. We're attacking each other's So by definition, you say I get to interrupt you if you disagree with me. Good stuff. Anyways,
Go
I'll make
ahead,
the
Ruff.
point. I'll take my 3 minutes that you just took there, if not longer, right? So this definition that you're talking about, or this study, what it's going to say is, well, it's important if you're discussing trans issues to talk about whether, and by the way, one of the first things I asked Mel in this debate was, can you provide me any study that talks about pragmatic differences in the real world between men and women that use that term to mean self-identified? So, for example, when I listen to feminists talk about studies that say men are more likely to commit sexual abuse, women make 79 cents to the dollar than men. Those studies aren't saying we interviewed 10,000 people and asked them how they identify. Then we looked at their salaries. No, it's going to say biologically these are women, biologically these are men. That's what the studies are showing. I said, Mel, can you show me one study of any pragmatic difference in outcomes like that are cited all the time by people on the left? Can you show me just one of them that ask every single person in that study for self-identification when it came to how they're defining the term man and woman? And Mel's like, no. Instead, Mel was able to cite a paper that was like, it's important to ask people how they self-identify for various reasons. Maybe so, but that's not how it's used in all of the literature that's trying to discuss differences between men and women. Or not someone's trans, that's fine. You don't need to redefine the terms man or woman to be completely subjective, to be able to be particular and have that some sort of research. When you then say, when we take it to sort of the social sciences and we're trying to determine, it would be inaccurate if we didn't have these specific terms of how people self-identify, is wrong. We could see that the accuracy is something that's important, and the definition that you offer, the harms that you say that we need something that has to do with self-identification, would be met by just having other terms. We could ask someone, are you a man or a woman? And they could say man, and we could say, do you identify as having the characteristics of a man or a woman? And then they could answer that. That would be sufficient, if not creating two entirely new terms to solve the harms you're talking about. However, your solution creates a litany of other harms. For example, when we look at those sociological studies that have been done all through the past and are continuing to be done, and it says women make 79 cents to the dollar as man, they're clearly talking about the biological nature of male versus female. They did not take that study to ask people, well, how do you identify? Nor would there be utility in asking the question, how do you identify, and the study determining the difference between people that identify as men and identify as women. The utility would be in understanding the pragmatic differences between the biological sexes in outcomes that we have. No one gives a shit in how people identify and what the differences are and how they would identify. And again, when we get back to the utility, your term basically means nothing. You started off talking about schema. I started off my opening statement discussing that no matter what, that your definition will basically be, at the end of the day, you're a woman if you think you're a woman. You tried to make it complicated by saying, now actually what a woman is someone that exhibits the characteristics of what they think a woman is. Yet then when pressed, and I say, but what if someone exhibits the exact opposite characteristics of a woman, but still calls themselves a woman? You're like, well, that would be fair. They would be allowed to call themselves a woman because they're subverting the expectations of what a woman is. Therefore, in effect, the definition of woman, based on the fact that it could either be the thing you're saying, exhibiting the characteristics of woman, or be the opposite of that and exhibiting the characteristics of men, but that could still make you a woman, then the definition is quite simply, you're a woman if you say you're a woman. The problem with that is that means that the definition is entirely subjective, and no word that has a subjective meaning to each individual will have any utility whatsoever when it comes to a broader context, because the receiver of the message has no clue what you're talking about, which is again why I get back to the point that if there are 500 of us listening right now, and you say there is a woman, we have 500 different examples of what we think that could mean. Some people might say, I think that woman means someone with long hair. Other people might say, no, I don't think that's sufficient. When I think of woman, I think of my mom, who had sort of a beehive haircut. So I don't think long hair comes with the definition of woman. And what we see is there's zero utility, because each individual now says there could literally be millions upon millions of definitions of what someone means when they describe someone as a woman. Language has to mean something through the receivers. There has to be sort of at least some sort of communal understanding of what that means. If the term is completely self-identifying, which you're conceding implicitly that it is, then the term loses all utility. All of the harms you're talking about erasing people and needing terms that... I just want to say, you notice how Mel went on a big long screed and said nothing? Yeah, that's fine. I could go for a long time too. I'm just going to say a lot. I'm going to make a lot of good points. So if you want to make the debate about unless you interrupt me, I'm just going to keep talking and talking and talking. That's fine. I'll sit there quietly and let you talk and talk and talk. Then I'm going to talk and talk and talk. So that's why I'm going on for so long here. In my head, I had sort of an internal clock. Was like, okay, if Mel's going to talk this long, I'm going to talk that long. It means self-identification are met by creating terms that have to do with self-identification. But separating gender, which has historical accuracy and is used in all pragmatic senses, including today, whether it be in studies, whether it be in someone discussing man or woman, there is always a connection to objective meaning and a rejection of woman. When I say woman, I literally just mean people that think that they're women. There is zero utility in that. So the way that things are is that gender is not different than sex. It's a grammatical category representing sex, and the way that they ought to be is to continue to be that way and to reject your ideology, because actually it makes the words completely meaningless, which rejects the accuracy and utility that you claim to be mentioning through this study.
All right.
Okay, this is going to be our final thoughts.
We'll move into that in about 5 minutes. So you're welcome to rebuttal and answer back to Rob. And you're welcome to take your time on.
Notice there wasn't much to say. Can we just do final thoughts? Right. Didn't have much rebuttal there. So let's see what we come up with.
Interrupted. Thank you for being respectful.
Yeah. Language has to mean something. Sure. It also can't miscommunicate things. And I think the biggest problem that we're facing today is that if you want to have a set of words that describe only normative people, then sure, but then you inherently have to make up new words for things. Now, the reason why we don't always do that is because there may already be words that exist that perfectly.
But again, think of the absurdity of this: words that only describe normative people. But again, any characteristic that you say that would mean, like the word human, to say, well, humans normally have 2 arms, 2 legs. Well, that is exclusionary. It's exclusionary to people that don't have 2 arms and 2 legs. You can't have words like young and old, because that's exclusionary to people that feel that they are neither young nor old. So we can't say that someone's young or old. You're young if you think you're young. You're old if you think you're old. That's it. So if a 10-year-old says I'm old, then they're old. You see the problem? And you're like, there are exceptions. Is 30 really young or is it really old? It's hard to tell. Therefore, the concepts of young and old are exclusionary. It's nonsensical. Language can't work that way.
Describe it fine. And not all contexts may even
see you, Mojo.
This differentiation. And what you kind of realize when you think about the trans issue for a while, think about how much it actually matters when you meet someone on the streets, if they have a penis in their pants, when they're not telling you or not, it's minimal, right? Like we're talking, like if you're planning on banging somebody, that's debatable. You can just, at the end of the day, you can always just walk out of the room. It's not like gonna kill you if they end up having a penis when you go to lay down.
But again, even if you're right, like that, it's not about when you say, hey, that guy there, it's really not about if they actually have a genital, like a penis in their pants or not, right? The problem is that's just a misapplication of what you think is true. And this comes up in the sort of super chats at the end, right? So what about Buck Angel? Buck Angel looks like a man, but it's a woman, right? Buck Angel, someone who is a woman who is wearing a man's costume. I'm not a football player anymore. I played in high school, but I'm not a football player. But if I come on stream and I'm wearing shoulder pads and a helmet and eye black, someone might say, hey, there's a football player. They would be wrong. I'm not. I'm wearing the costume of one. But that doesn't mean that we should change the definition of football player to anyone who thinks they're a football player is a football player. That'd be nonsensical. Yes, you could misapply. You could say, I think that man is a biological male, an adult male, and adult human male, and I think that woman's an adult human female, and you could screw it up. Oh, there was a convincing person that was a woman that was wearing a man's costume, and I thought it was a man. Okay. So yes, it's true. Normally, when we are saying men or women, we're saying, that is a person who looks like they have the biology of a man or a woman, or of a male or a female. That's what we normally mean, and we could be wrong about that. But to say, well, the utility of that's not whether they have a penis in their pants or not, maybe. That's true sometimes, not always, as you'll get to in the example I'm about to bring up. And it's not true in the areas that matter most. However, you know what's almost never useful? Is how the person self-identifies. There's almost no utility to that because that could mean anything. Well, I identify as a woman. Oh, so you identify as someone with long hair that wears lipstick, that's petite, that's feminine? No, actually, I completely reject all of that. And yet still I identify as a woman. Oh, okay. Then what does it mean? If someone says that's a woman over there, what does that mean? They're telling you a story. Anyways, so I'm sitting at the bar and this woman comes walking up to me and she spills a drink all over me. What does that sentence mean to you? What are you conjuring in your head? Okay, so it's an amorphous person. I can't think of any characteristics that they might exhibit. It's just literally a shadow. Because I don't want to assume. No one asked. Do you identify as a man? It's so dumb.
With them, it's certainly not gay if you walk out of the room, so it's not questioning that. And when we talk about like what's the utility of not including trans people, unless like you really don't like trans people, or you really hate having to come up with some maybe more nuanced answers to things than we used to have, then there's every reason to include non-conforming people into a group that they otherwise seem very similar to, and otherwise we normally don't need to make this distinction. If this were like let me tell you right now, if there was like a huge crime ring of trans people using their transness to scam people or something like that, I'd start to be like, okay, maybe we're giving this too much acceptance. But at the end,
yeah, there is. There's a lot of trans people that use it for their sexual fetishes. Remember that? It was just a couple years ago. Remember there was that like public pool or public hot tub or whatever? And this woman came out and she was like, this man came in and showed his penis. And then Antifa went and protested, how dare you? How dare you? And then turns out that person was arrested because, yep, that's what happened. A biological male called themselves a woman and went into the woman's facility and was waving his dick around. Yes, that shit happens. And we're constantly told, nope, that you're bigoted for bringing it up. So I don't believe Mel. Well, if it was actually a big problem, then I would start to wonder if we're defining these terms correctly. Bullshit. You would say we're bigots for noticing.
End of the day, like, I'd start to maybe see the utility there. But at the end of the day, like, they're distinctions without a difference until like we're talking about something like medical science, or this is like I'm talking to my actual psychologist about my gender history. So
oh, sorry. I didn't
so just to wrap it up, there's no reason, for example, not to use woman for a trans woman. And there's plenty of reasons to make that word inclusive for both groups in the majority of scenarios.
Should we have separate prisons for men and women? Now I'm getting to, it was a long screed, but the point I'm getting to here, the reason I asked this question is, okay, let's talk about utility then. So here's a real world situation. Should we have separate prisons for men and women? Let's see this response.
Well, first of all, we have separate, we have.
How hard is it to just answer that question? See, right out of the gate, you know you're going to get some bullshit. How hard would it be? Yeah or no? Well, first of all,
segregated prisons.
I asked a simple question. Should we have separate prisons for men and women?
I'll say yes to segregation because separate.
So you would say that your answer is yes, we should have separate prisons for men and women.
Segregation, sure, yes.
Why do you keep saying segregation? I'm just asking quite simply because we might disagree.
Prisons exist where it's like the same building.
But I just mean when someone answers a question by throwing out another term and then saying yes, it implies that you're not just giving a simple yes/no answer. I'm just asking, would you say that? The point was I didn't want Mel to say, well, when I say segregation, this is what I meant later. So I understand the point that's trying to be made here. That's like, well, you could have one building where there's a big wall in the center and men one side, women the other, and they never interact. But basically the question is, should they be separated? The answer is quite simply yes, we should have separate prisons for men and women.
I think it's very clear that I'm saying yes either way, but I'm including segregated prisons just that way there's not any confusion.
Okay, so if you think we should have separate prisons for men and women, why would the reason be that you would think that?
Typically, there are differences in sexual abuse rates, sexual assault.
Really? Can you cite those studies?
You need a study to know that?
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you understand? Like that point there just destroyed the entire ideology. You need a study? Now, why do you think I would ask that? Why do you think I'd ask for a study? Do you think I don't know that all the study and everything we know anecdotally would be men, if you put them in with prisons, would be much more likely to commit sexual crimes against women? You think I don't know that? So why would I ask this question? And why would I say, can you show me the studies? Does anyone know? Maybe if someone watched the debate, they'll know. But can you see the argument that's being formulated? Right. Pandemic Slayer basically nails it. How do we know? How do we have studies when we can't identify the men and women? Right. You mean to tell me that the studies that say men are more likely to commit sexual crimes against women ask them to self-identify? That's what they asked? Of course not. Of course, the studies that say that men are more likely to commit sexual crimes against women are talking about biology. They're saying adult males are more likely to commit crime against adult females. That's what they're saying. That's why we all know implicitly, of course, we should segregate. But notice how Mel becomes incredulous. Oh, you need a study? Yes, I do need you to cite the study, because as soon as I say, right, those studies are going to say men referring to biological males. So you present the study that that's not the case. And notice how Mel tries to weasel out how this doesn't destroy the entire view that she's putting forth when it comes to utility of using these terms. Yeah, I do.
That men are more likely to be the purveyors of more violent sexual assault, and women are more likely to be the recipients of more violent sexual assault.
Can you explain to me what makes people that identify as the characteristics that the schema of men more likely to commit sexual abuse? Can you explain that to me? Why people that have a schema of men are more likely to commit sexual abuse? You see, and that's the point. Now Mel's going to get a little animated, because Mel realizes now, like, whoops-a-daisy, because those studies aren't going to say that, are they? Those studies ain't going to mention the word schema. They're not going to mention self-identification. So let's see how Mel responds to this.
The APA actually has a fascinating document about it. Doesn't sound like it, but it's actually called something like recommendations for practices for boys and men. But they talk about something called gender role strain, and this has a lot to do with how we define masculinity in society. So if I say men are stoic, men are very straight, and men are super strong, right? We're going to keep it simple for now. And then someone feels emasculated in society, then they might resort to something like physical violence more likely than somebody who doesn't care if they feel emasculated, like a woman. Now, going to the sex-related stuff, the interesting thing is that it seems like a certain part of the brain, especially in men, it has developed a certain way, so that way men are less likely to understand the difference between sexual behavior.
Now, notice what Mel said here. Two things. First, well, actually, people that feel weaker are less likely to get aggressive if challenged than people that feel stronger. Now, the implication here being, so that has more to do about self-identification, but not really, because remember, Mel's definition of man or woman is, a man is someone who exhibits the characteristics of what they think men is, or that exhibits the opposite characteristics. So even if you were to say, well, this study would suggest people that feel like they are men, even if they're biological women, they feel strong, so they're more likely to be aggressive. But no, because people that feel like men can be biological men. They could be people that exhibit the characteristics of what they subjectively feel biological men are, or they could be people that exhibit the opposite characteristics of what they feel biological men is. Now the word men has three distinct meanings. The second thing that Mel's going to do, here, let's go back quick second.
Part of the brain, especially in men, it has developed a...
Did you hear this? She's talking about the part of the brain of men. Does that sound like a self-identification argument for what a man is? Or does that sound biological? We're talking about parts of the brain in men. Do you think they're talking about parts of the brain in biological females who identify as men? Or do you think they're talking about biological males? So Mel's about to give you the argument for, in part, why biological males, which Mel is calling men here, are more likely to commit sex crimes. Listen to this.
Certain way, so that way men are less likely to understand the difference between sexual behavior and aggression, versus women tend to see a very clear line between these things. Again, not all men, not all women, and so again, it's more likely that men will act out sexual aggression than a woman.
So you say that several times there. Use the term men and women, referring to studies on the brain to refer to men as biological males and women as biological females, and has no clue that they just did that. So as soon as we got to a real world implication, okay, what's the utility of using these terms? Should we put men in prisons with women? No, we shouldn't. Why? Well, because there's shit in men's brains that make them more likely to be sexually aggressive to the women. Okay, so biological males shouldn't be in with women. And you just use the term men and women to refer to biological males and females. You even just there are conflating the term sex and gender. You're conflating the term men and women with male and female. Even just there. No. Please. Come on. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to.
You want to know why?
I'm trying my best to stay silent. And it's within 3 seconds every time of me talking, every single time you interject. It's just bad form. That's all I'm saying, right?
I will be agreeable.
You're conflating the terms even there. Now the truth is,
it's not a conflation. Because I'm not talking about reproductive
Mel,
sex.
if you have to mute yourself to stop the interjections, please do so. Otherwise, Rob was kind. He gave you the floor, and I asked. We've got like 2 minutes left, okay?
It's really hard to maintain your train of thought, too, especially when you're responding. I don't mind if it's going to be I talk 3 minutes, Mel talks 3 minutes, I talk 3 minutes. That's fine. But when you're doing that, and then the other person's constantly interjecting, sometimes it becomes difficult to keep your train of thought, because what's likely to happen is Mel talks 3 minutes, I talk 10 seconds, Mel interjects, and I say, okay, explain what you mean. Then Mel talks another 2 minutes. Then I have to respond to Mel's 2 minutes based on the interjection of when I talk 10 seconds. And then that other 3 minutes that I was about to talk about before the initial interjection occurred, that gets lost in the shuffle. So I don't play that game. I'm going to point out, stop interjecting. I'm just going to pause and sit here and not talk until the interjections stop.
And then we'll go into closing thoughts.
I will take those 2 minutes. So it is obvious that the reason that we would have
1 minute for me to respond.
Mel.
No, if he takes 2 minutes and I need 2 minutes to respond.
We would have had 3 minutes had you not continued.
And this part's fun to capture because Mel ends up getting banned from Sarah Tomato's channel over this because they just can't help themselves. Can't stop interjecting.
And then you would have had a response.
This is just logistics at this point. I'm just trying to work that out so that way I actually have time to respond.
Now remember, the whole time I have to sit here and remember my point. Mel just talked for like 3 minutes, so I have to remember my point while this back and forth occurs. It's just so annoying. I wonder if men or women are more likely to interrupt. Interesting. Anyways,
men.
So you're a dude.
No. Because a woman starts interrupting someone, it doesn't make them a man.
Okay. Now, nonetheless, getting back to the point, it's clear why you're conflating sex and talking about biological males more likely to be aggressive, et cetera, and you're using the term men and women when doing that. Because when I ask you specifically if we should have separate prisons for men and women, and you say yes, the clear understanding of why that is because the studies that you guffawed on, you're asking me for studies, you don't know that. Yes, those studies say that men are more likely to commit sexual violence than women, especially against women, and it has a lot to do with the biological reality because it's using the term men and women to be an identifier for biological sex. It's not saying, oh, studies that say that men commit 80% of sex crimes. Actually, those studies, what they did was interview every single person that commits those sex crimes that were a part of that study and said, how do you identify? Now, you then like have this clever, again, sleight of hand where you're like, well, it's entirely possible because men, let's just say hypothetically that the definition of men are people that identify the characteristics that are masculine, such as of aggressiveness, et cetera, trying to then shoehorn the idea that a biological female that identifies as a man would have similar sexual aggressive characteristics, sexual assault characteristics as a biological male. That's not true. No study's going to say that, but that's not going to help you anyways, because we've already gone through why your definition of man would be someone that exhibits the characteristics we think of men, or someone who intentionally subverts and has the opposite characteristics. So therefore, if we took to the logical extension of what you're saying, having one prison for men and one for women would literally just mean we would have to ask every single person, are you a man or are you a woman? And if the person said, I'm a woman, even though they had all the characteristics of a biological male, we would say, fine, then you go over there into your women's prison. Now, what likely would happen in that scenario is women would be scared shitless because now biological men are being put in their spaces. So they would say, well, shit, I'll pretend to identify as a man. Then all of a sudden the categorization would mean nothing. And prisons would literally just be made up of biological males and biological females interspersed amongst each other, because instead of assuming that man is, and we should segregate based on man and women, which has connection to sex, we're just saying it's all self-referential, which means the physical harms, last point, which means that the actual real world implication is more biological females, or what I would call women, are going to be sexually assaulted. There is real world danger. And the fact that you interchange, even as your answer, as someone who claims to have a better understanding of what the term gender should be, and you yourself make the mistake of conflating man and woman, meaning male and female, proves that I win the prompt once more, that gender is not different from sex, because you can't even help yourself in interchanging those words. Wow, what a great argument. I kick ass. I enjoyed, those debates are pedantic, but I enjoyed it. Couple things. First off, Corinth called in afterwards, who I like, Corinth, and asked me about the phrase man up. Man up doesn't mean that we're referring to say, if we say, hey, you need to man up, that means stop being a bitch, suck it up. See? Therefore, man in that context doesn't mean biological reality. And TMG Coper says, could I just responded, that's an idiom, and called it a day? Not necessarily, because then we would say, well, within this definition, or within the idiom, man means something different. So man has a different definition. I basically said, yeah, when we're talking act like a man, which is basically what man up means, yes, by definition, that means the characteristics that exhibit from a man, right? The real problem with Corinth's argument, which I started to get to at the end, are two things. One, there's still a biological connection to what we say, and that was the argument that I was making. I could argue that point better now. But secondly, it would mean that every noun, at least in the English language, and I'd have to think about it, but I would think in any other language, would have two definitions at a minimum. So a tree isn't just a tree, the physical tree with leaves and branches, etc. That's not the only definition of tree. Tree is also the characteristics that we associate with the tree. Because I could tell you, man, hey, stand there like a tree. So in that sentence, tree means I'm not telling you to grow limbs, to grow leaves or, needles, to grow roots. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying stand still. So therefore, we can't say that when you say, what is a tree? I can't say it's that thing there with roots and it's made of wood and it's got branches. I can't say that because there's multiple definitions. So I can't say. It's absurd. And that would be true of any. And then the other thing was HN asked me to steel man Mel's position. Yes, I could steel man the position. Mel believes that sex is a biological thing, but gender is how we express ourselves. And therefore, the word isn't directly connected to sex. There is some tangential characteristics, such as what we normally assume societally comes with how people present themselves that are normally born in those biological sexes. But there's utility in understanding that we need to have terms in order to understand how people themselves self-identify. Because we shouldn't leave culture to tell us how biological men or biological women, or I'm sorry, biological males or biological females should act. So we will subvert that by saying the definition of men and women, or what we call gender, will be self-subjective, which will help us subvert those traditional gender roles that we look at. That's Mel's argument. It's a dog shit argument because basically what happens is it means that the definition of these words are totally self-referential, and it's done for a political and cultural reason. The entire idea is sort of from this genderqueer philosophy to subvert traditional gender roles. That's the idea. We want women in the workplace. We don't want them staying at home and having kids. Women can do everything that men can. So let's change the definitions. That's the point. But that's ultimately what Mel's argument would be. I think I do a sufficient argument of discussing why that's not the case. All right, let's get to some more super chats, then we'll grift a little more. We've gone 2 hours and 50 minutes. Oh, before we do that, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. The other cancer diagnosis I was going to talk about is Scott Adams. Now, I don't know what you all think about Scott Adams, but he's a big influence on me. I find Scott Adams to be very funny, and I also think that he was an influence on stylistically how I started doing my show, which is just come up with stories of the day, talk in front of the microphone. That was sort of originally how I did my show, and a lot of that influence came from Scott Adams. He came out today and said that he is diagnosed with the same style of cancer, metastasized prostate cancer that's metastasized in his bones, and that he basically only has weeks or months to live. And I think that that sucks. That's what I think. I think Scott Adams is great. I'm not saying I've agreed with everything Scott Adams believes. I certainly don't, nor is there any human being that I agree with everything they say. But Scott Adams is someone that I've really appreciated, and I'm sad to see that he's going through a tough time and most likely won't be with us for much longer. I also understand his position that, you know, he doesn't want to be thought of as the cancer guy. He doesn't want people to sit around and be like, oh my goodness, no. So that's not what I'm going to do. But it is worth mentioning to defend Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis and saying, look, I still feel bad for him as a human being. Certainly when a human being that I think has done much more and is much more talented and better in basically every way that I respect, and Scott Adams gets diagnosed with something very similar to Joe Biden, I would be remiss to not mention it. So my heart goes out to you, Scott Adams. I'll be praying for you. Make the most of the rest of your time, and I hope that even though you're in an incredible amount of pain, that you are able to get some enjoyment and get your affairs in order. And I hope that your spirit's in order too. And I hope that you've taken steps to make sure you're going to the right place. So, all right, let's get to some other stuff. Blank Field, I think is where we left off for $5. Says, yelling at leftists in my half script I endorse. Thank you so much. Miggy Hypocrite for $2 says, kicking up my humble earnings to the Rob Father. Thank you. We appreciate all of you Norberters out there. Thank you so much. Bobby Ballbags for another $2 says, Steelman, the trans advocate in auctioneer speak. Okay, let me go get a drink. Enjoy this song for a minute while I go get a drink. Then I'll do some auctioneer speak for you.
Transition, so get out your wallet and quit your bitching. Birthday bucket 7 is the dollars he needs, but he will take more 'cause he is full of greed. Big Grifting, Big Grifting, Big Grifting, Big Grifting.
I also hope people appreciate the meta irony of me writing a song about grifting, but only writing one verse and then just repeating the chorus. I hope that's appreciated. All right. So for those that don't know, I used to do policy debate, so I could talk kind of fast, which some people call auctioneer speak. So I'm not reading it. Now, here's the thing. Reading fast is easy, but thinking fast and coming up with your own words fast is sometimes more difficult. So let's, one more drink. Let's try this. All language is a social construct, and what we've seen is normally language is written by winners. So what we see is when it comes to words like retard, or when it comes to things like mental illness, people that have won and been people in power have decided what those words mean, and they ends up to disenfranchise people. So what we see is we need to be able to have words that are more articulate, that don't disenfranchise people and don't have people that are left at the outside fringe of this. What we see with words like gender is ultimately, in the past, it's been used to exclude people that be homosexual, people that are trans, people that are intersex, and other things like that. So there was some biological connection to it. But what we understand is we now need to have a word that has self-identification. If we don't have the self-identification, we'll have suicide rates that go up. We'll have people that are disenfranchised and to be lost. We need these people to be respected because the suicide rates are high for them. So we need to understand that all language is a social construct and it only has the power of what we give it. We need to be able to move on from these sort of things that we've had traditional gender, masculine schedules, the patriarchy have been able to disenfranchise people. And we need to have a system where we can see that these trans people have a value to life. And if that means that we change the words of men and women to be self-referential, that's going to be better in the long haul because it won't be as exclusionary. It would mean that people be able to identify as one, have happy lives, and there won't be any real world connection to this because people will stop using violence once we eliminate the patriarchy anyway. So this will be a key step and be able to do it. Wasn't the best. I repeated a few words there over and over, but here we go. All right, Little Gremlin for $2 says, well, if that's not true, if objection is wild. Yeah, that was constant debate. Garrett Link for $10 says, what about that thing that contradicts your definition? Oh, but they're rejecting the norms. This seems like a total red herring. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Robert Whaley for $5 says, can we get back to grifting? Dinosaur gazebos ain't cheap. Agreed. We're trying to get a gazebo and some dinosaurs for my son. Little Gremlin for $5 says, Mel granted his worldview to be superior. You're not allowed to interrupt him. You can't refute him, or he gets to cut you off and object in the mid. Well, what was I thinking? Well said, Little Gremlin. Nate for $2 goes, sup, losers? What are we talking about? My gender debate the other night. Ticky Tack for $20 says, grift more, you dirty blaster. Your dog there looks very similar to my dog. Ears are different. Your dog's ears are pointy. Mine's aren't. I'll get Dorothy up here someday. What we want to talk about, I can stick around. Oh yeah, I could sing Forgot About Dre for you all. I'm no Tech 9. I'm not that good. Let's see. If we get... I still have to get the... I have to get the thing to add up my super chats because we're trying to get... How much money are we trying to get, everyone? We're trying to raise every night. Now, it would have been nice to get 457 tonight because I spent 100 on that AI music website so that I could get AI songs. That would be nice, but I'm not going to get greedy. We'll settle for 357. By the way, thank you to the people that have donated on Cash App. So far, we have at least 2 folks. Oh, we got Jeremy and John. Thank you so much. Naughty Germ, appreciate it. John Ruck, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. First Cash App. Remember, you can donate on the Cash App. Oh, PayPal and buy me a coffee. Oh. Super chats in. Does this guy suck or what? Oh, wait. No, that one's no good. Help me with my transition. There we go. So we'll try to add up the super chats here. Then we'll get back to the grifting. We'll see if we made our 357. Now, I'm going to play a song that was requested earlier. Another Coomer song that a fan of the show sent in. Those that sent me DMs on X, I promise I'll respond tonight or tomorrow. But for now, let's get to the website here, and we'll play a little of this for you.
I used to be normal before I met
We'll try to add this up
you.
before the song's over. Here we go.
You came down the golden escalator, then I knew it was true. I dyed my hair blue and pierced every inch of my face. is where
We're
I
not
wanna
there yet.
be. I break out in sweats, and I wish he was dead. I hate the color orange because Trump's living rent free in my head. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Orange G, orange. Seeds hate meds because Trump's living rent free in my head.
A little drum riff at the end there. Woo. No. Pretty badass. All right, you guys aren't going to believe me. Now oh, there we go. Okay, when I added it up before these last two came in, I had 352. But now we've had $7 come in. So we've beat it. We're at 359. Ah, we did it. We did it, damn it. We beat the bastards. Screw you, corporate America, making me go to work when I could sit on my fat ass and stream. As always, the Norbiters come through. We crush it. Yeah, I could make it a goal. I just have to figure out someone to use the stream elements to help me out. I know how to set up a goal, but it's like I don't know. I tried to do it and it was a mess. You guys did it. You're the best. Now, I was shooting for 357 tonight. We're in $100 out. We are Norport America here. Yeah. To hell with them. So, the stream is done. Now it's just grifting, having fun. 457, here we come, says Bobby Ballbags. All right, we're $5 into it. If we get to 457, I promise I'll karaoke you a rap song. We'll do a little Forgot About Dre. But only if we get the donations rolling in. I am trying to grift to the best of my ability. Computer generated, I didn't even make it. Furthermore, ASMR. I didn't do it. A fan of the show did. Though the one I did may or may not be computer generated. We don't know. We're not going to tell. So I think I'm trying to come up with a word for reasons that maybe some will guess. I'm trying to come up with a word that rhymes with fascist that I could use for myself. Doesn't have to mean fascist, but that rhymes with fascist. I don't know if anyone could tell why I would be doing that. Why would I come up with a word that rhymes with fascist? What could the idea be behind that? What could it be? It could be anything. Anyways, I'll come up with it. Flashes, that's not bad. That's not bad at all, Obnoxious. Flashes is... That's pretty good. I like that. So far, Flashist wins. Classist I thought of. I like that, though. Flashist might be... Big Papa Stashes isn't bad. Oops. Rashist. Yeah, or Trashist. Those are good, too. I am going with Flashist. I'm pretty Flash MFer. True statement. Absolutely. Watching Andrew debate these feminists this week has been so funny, man. So hard to prepare for these debates, too, because there's just like, everything's just stream of consciousness with like no direct responses or arguments being made. It's just like, well, you know, like, don't be mean to people. Like, feminism, good. Don't be mean to people. And there should be women in more workspaces, but there shouldn't be men in more women's spaces. Monster mashist. It's just, you know, it's like, and the prompts are never like something stable that you could bite your teeth into. It's just like, the debate will be about feminism and like why it's good. It's like, okay. Yeah, that's exactly right, Cool Vic. That was today's debate with Andrew. Big Papa Cassius, that's not bad either. Yeah, it's not an AI song. The girl debated earlier tonight. I saw that. Tried to claim millions of people died in the Trail of Tears. Yeah, it was like 8,000 or something. It was pretty embarrassing, but Like I said, man, your hair will go gray. That's how I feel. Like, you have to understand, my style of debate is different. Like, I'm not really into the whole etymology of words and stuff. I'm just a simple redneck. Like, I know what a man and a woman is. But isn't it true that if all language is socially constructed, then all words are malleable and the definitions could change with whoever has power? Yeah, go fuck yourself. I guess that's true. And it's not how I'm using the word or anyone else, and there's no utility in operating. You know, it's like the old, well, isn't it true that there is no free will? That it could be that there's no free will and everything that's ever happened in your life's predetermined? I suppose I could rack my head thinking of that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to live my life as if I have some amount of free will. Because if I don't, and I'm just literally a video game character that someone's moving the joystick, I'll go insane. Did I say entomology? Yeah, it's etymology. Entomology is like with bugs and shit, right? See, I don't give a shit. I just don't care enough. But when I get into these debates, I think I could do quite well because I'm able to see people's bullshit and argue through it. But it's not my cup of tea. Similarly, I got to be straight up with you. I'm not big on these like, well, what's your rationale for your worldview, for your sense of morality? I could argue it, and I have, and I think I'm pretty good at it. But normally I'm operating at a very pragmatic level. Like, how do I pay my mortgage bill this week? Like shit like that. That's what I'm looking at. Oh, look, Joe Biden's clearly a human vegetable, and yet they're lying to us. It's just, that's the sort of stuff I'm focused on. That's the stuff I like to debate. But no one wants to debate that. Right? So you end up in these very esoteric conversations about like, well, define the meaning of words. It's like, okay, I could do that too. Sure. Yeah, ticky-tack, you absolutely nail it, like with the gender. Grant them that words are socially malleable and then hold them to the idea that gender defines women as adult, human, female. The consensus is spoken. Exactly right. That's sort of the argument I was making. In all instances we could think of, people are getting tired of the trans shit. And then when it comes to using the term with utility, whether it be talking about separate spaces for men and women, like prisons, studies that show different outcomes for men and women, we're always using that term to mean biological connection every time. So you're right. We've rejected your ideology. That's right. Louis Joyston gets it. Edo, words and history and shit. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. I love listening. Even I was on the Crucible Discord and I was listening to like people chat about Andrew's debate performance and like Casimir, great friend of the show. Casimir, ladies in the audience, give it up for the great Casimir. Now my audience is like 95% men, but that's because I don't bring Casimir on enough. When he comes on, the ladies just, he's basically like the Beatles. Like if the ANCAPs had a super band, he's like, Kaz is like the Ringo Starr of the ANCAP crew, you know. That's Kaz. The chicks just love him. I assume the chicks like Ringo the best. I don't know. I wasn't around back then. But listen to Kaz, like, actually, and go through all these like history situations. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm very poorly read on history, I guess. Entomology. That's a study I could get behind. Little Entoman cake. Oh, you don't know Casimir. It's not Kashmir, it's Casimir. I screw his name up all the time. Get a normal name, Kaz. Right? Why don't people have normal names anymore? What the hell happened? Now, granted, he's not originally from the United States, I don't think. But, like, people around here, you meet people, it's like their kid's name. It's like, my kid's name's Braxtonian or some shit like that. You're like, looks like a Sam to me, but what do I know? That's why we named our child Hank. One syllable. Masculine. Here's a good story to grift. Here's a grift for the Crucible crew. Ready? My wife asked my son today, what's dad's job now? And he said, it's to go do things on the computer and stuff. Pretty good. And then she said, what's mom's job? And he said, to clean. I was like, I'm raising the boy right. He's done it. He 4 years old and already it's like, yes. She gets mad at me because like we'll be at the store. We'll go through the toy section. Now he's getting a little older, so he knows the type of toys he wants. He's into like, he loves these little plastic like dinosaurs and zoo creatures and stuff. But it used to be you'd walk through the toy store and you'd like, there's all the girl stuff, the baby dolls and the unicorns and shit. And he would stop there and he'd like, look at that, a unicorn. And I'd like whisper over to my wife, I'd be like, chop it off, here we go. Make the appointment at the gender clinic for next week. He just grabbed a unicorn. Oh shit. She was never very impressed with that joke. I thought it was a good one. He knows. He's a man, damn it. I'll say that too. I'll be like, you're a man. He'll go, the SpongeBob movie, the original SpongeBob movie that's really good. You remember, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's a scene in the movie where they have to like cross this like abyss and there's all these monsters there, but they have to cross it to get to where they're going. And so the princess that's helping them out's like, boys can't make it across, but men can. And they're like, we're not men. And so she gives them little kelp mustaches and they sing this song, Now That We're Men. So I'll say that to Hank. I'm like, you're a man. We're men. Today's Men's Day. And he'll go, I'm not a man. I don't have a mustache. I'm like, fair enough. That's fair. You're not a man until you have a mustache. True. Should have threw that in my definition of that debate. So, oh yeah, we got more super chats come. Now remember, if we get up to 100 more from where we were, so we got Bandit 848. We're looking for 100 from this point forward. For $2 says, for real pew, guys. Should have went for 454 Casul. Did I say that right? A castle? I know that's a gun. But I don't know what kind of gun that is. Janice for $5 says, Rob, how can I get a link to the song I want to rock out while I'm driving? Well, that song, I think this will work. I'll put the link. I don't think the person who made it for me would care. I'm hoping not. So there you go. There's the link in the chat. Thanks so much, Janice. $5 from Bobby Ballbag says 457. Here we come. Well, we're $88 away. Now we're 86 away. Bandit for $2 says could be worse. Could be George Harrison. True. I always thought George Harrison died. Like he had like a home break-in and he got stabbed, but he lived through that. So there you go. Jimothy for $5 says, is grifting part of your schema? Here's $5 for the gazebo. Yes, it is part of my schema. Brock Van Wagner for $10 says $5 for socks, $5 for the Hankman Dinosaur Fund. We'll take it. Someone asked earlier if I have any merch. Not right now, but I'm going to. And I believe one of the merches that we're going to do is socks. I don't know any other streamer that has socks with their logo on it, so get ready. We're going to try our damnedest to get some socks out your ways. But listen, they're not going to be worn. It's none of this OnlyFans shit. Trust me. These are going to be high quality shit. Don't worry. All right, we need like 70 more bucks. Then I'll sing you some rap and we'll go to bed. Until then, I guess I got to stay up with you folks. What do you say? Oh, yeah, super chats. Yeah. Now, I know what you're saying, but Rob, I would like to just have the convenience of scanning my phone to your beautiful image and having that taking me right to an area where I could donate. But surely that sounds like impossible technology. No way that could happen. Ah, look at that. By putting a nice logo up in the corner that you could scan with your app on your phone, it'll take you to my Buy Me a Coffee link, where you could become a monthly subscriber or give a one-time donation. All donations that come through there will be spent on whatever the hell I want, so you can assure that it's going to a good cause. We'll leave it up there for a minute. I forgot to bring my Celsius water up to... What can I false market today? Bic. For multiple generations, the preferred pen of people that are fighting back against queer theorists has been Bic. We understand what a man is, and we understand what a pen is. Both are masculine, fluid, and are able to write down things that will make the trans community go absolutely maddening. So please, the next time you decide that you want to fight back against the LGBT community, consider Bic pens. Bic, for real men's men. There you go. There you go, Bic. You looking for a sponsorship? I'm sure their corporate headquarters would be more than happy to have someone shilling their pens for, instead of Mug Club, we'll have Sock Club, yeah. Thank you, Zachary Gelpy, for $5. We'll dig on the Sock Club. Oh, shill the Cash App. Yeah, the Cash App. Cash App? I hear people like donating to Cash App. Well, I now have Cash App. You thought that I was only trading in like traditional caveman like bugs and roots and shit. That's not true. Not only do I accept all forms of currency, even digital, but now I accept Cash App. A very convenient way to donate to me, which will leave me with a huge portion of the money. The downside to Cash App for you all is it doesn't count to my goal of $357 because the good side is I'm intentionally not telling you all so that I can pretend to grift more because I need more money to feed myself and my family. Consider donating to Cash App. $ Rob Noor. And then I love these banners. Be sure to get those super chats in. Wow, what? Bandit for $2 says TBC was the joke was 454 versus 357. Oh. Yeah. Well, I didn't want to be too greedy. I didn't want to come off as like asking for an insane amount of money. I don't know if you all figured this out, but after all fees and all of that good stuff, 357 ends up to $250 coming to me. That's how I came up with I was like, 357, that's a good number. 357. Yeah, I don't know if I could get away with merchant. Sock stocks. Yeah. All right, we're like $60. And then we'll do a little rap ditty. We'll give it, let's see, it's 12:12. We'll give it till 12:30. We got to raise another $60 by 12:30. Then I'll happily sing you a rap song. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rap's normally the domain of people that don't look like Rob. Muscular basketball players. It's true. I certainly don't have the physique of your average rapper. Nor have I ever been to a Diddy party. But I can spit bars with the best of them, my friends. I certainly can. But you'll never know if we don't get another roughly $70. Well, Bandit, when it comes to that and taxation, it's a rough calculation, but yeah. Now, the other thing is, YouTube sucks, right? I get more money if you donate to Buy Me a Coffee or Cash App, or PayPal for that matter. Certainly true. However, one thing that you get when you donate on YouTube is you get your message read, and it bumps me up in their algorithm. Because, you see, YouTube are greedy bastards. And so they want to make money. And one of the ways they make money is through advertisements and views and clicks, all of that good stuff. But another way they make money is taking money away from us creators. And they say, yes, good. Send your hard-earned money to some fat guy like Rob. Then we will put it in our corporate account and use it to buy more islands and whatever the hell we do. And so YouTube is very happy if they see a channel like mine that is consistently getting a decent amount of money on these sort of super chats. So then you know what that does? That means that they favor me more in their shitty algorithm because they say, oh, we don't like this guy's politics, but he's making us money. So we'll make him more available to a wider audience. And so the YouTube chat does achieve that as well. Last week, I got something like $2,200 in super chats one day. Thank you, Crucible crew, and many other people that participated in that. But it made me, in the United States, like top 7 in the country for that day. Which means that in YouTube's eyes, they're like, oh, this guy's basically a nobody, and look at that. Maybe all of a sudden we'll promote him a little more. So, yes, I almost, I realized, I didn't want to discuss the type of island. I thought maybe YouTube wouldn't like that, so. We all know that they love islands where they could freely limbo and drink coconut milk, so. Almost went afoul. Don't want to go that far. You liking the Hassan? All the lefties in her fighting. Pakman won't do an event with Destiny, and Hassan's fighting with Ethan, and oh, such good people. They all seem so happy. These lefties seem like such likable, happy people. It's amazing to find out. It's so against stereotype, but it turns out they're miserable sacks of shit that all hate each other. Really? I can't believe it. So out of character. My goodness. Oh boy, Lost Avarice, more anime hits. Thanks so much as always for $10. Says, just to make sure, we all agree dubbed anime is the best anime, thanks to Christopher Sabat. Am I right, Rob, or am I right? Of course, Christopher Sabat, voicing characters such as Vegeta, Piccolo, that guy from that one show about something slime. I'm pretty sure one character in One Piece. In each of those shows, he happens to be not only the best voice actor, but happens to be voice acting the best characters. Thanks, Christopher Sabat. A real friend of the show, he is. He was going to call in tonight, but unfortunately he's busy voice acting some sort of crazed alien that will fight a protagonist in the next anime coming out next year. Randy West for $2 says, onward to the grift maxing. If you don't mind me saying, Randy West, that looks like a Jim Bob caricature of yourself. Oh, Magus Head, again. I assume the T's silent. Magus Head, we're going to go Magus Head. Gets another 10 memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Only about $40 away now, folks. We're going to get there. We're going to do this thing. I love this clip. Did you ever watch the movie? Oh, shoot. Give me a second. I got to dredge it up there. It's the movie Alex Jones in it. It's animated. It wasn't a Scanner Darkly. It's the one that was animated weird before that. It's called Waking Life. Have you ever watched the movie Waking Life? Thank you so much, Bandit848, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Let me see if I can play this. This is probably going to get me demonetized tonight, but here we go. One of my heroes. Every time I think, everybody goes with the frogs are gay, but when I hear Alex Jones, this is always the clip I think of, because I used to watch this movie. I was a big fan of this movie. So, has anyone seen the movie Waking Life? No? Yeah, you guys, by the way, thanks for all the W's in chat. Everybody, give these people their flowers. Give them their W's. Donating money. They're killing it. I guess it doesn't matter. If I was going to sing a song later, I'm going to get demonetized anyway. So, all right, here we go. Waking Life. Let's go to Alex Jones' 2-minute section in the movie Waking Life. Premise of the movie is it's a dream and a guy can't wake up. And so he's just running into all these people talking philosophy and stuff. So this was like maybe early 2000s, maybe 99, 2001, something like that. Anyways, here we go. Here's Alex Jones in Waking Life.
You can't fight City Hall. Death and taxes. Don't talk about politics or religion. This is all the equivalent of enemy propaganda rolling across the picket line. Lay down, GI. Lay down, GI. We saw it all through the 20th century. And now in the 21st century, it's time to stand up and realize that we should not allow ourselves to be crammed into this rat maze. We should not submit to dehumanization. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned with what's happening in this world. I'm concerned with the structure. I'm concerned with the systems of control. Those that control my life and those that seek to control it even more. I want freedom. That's what I want, and that's what you should want. It's up to each and every one of us to turn loose of just some of the greed, the hatred, the envy, And yes, the insecurities, because that is the central mode of control. Make us feel pathetic, small, so we'll willingly give up our sovereignty, our liberty, our destiny. We have got to realize that we're being conditioned on a mass scale. Start challenging this corporate slave state. The 21st century is going to be a new century. Not the century of slavery, not the century of lies and issues of no significance and classism and statism and all the rest of the modes of control. It's going to be the age of humankind standing up for something pure and something right. What a bunch of garbage, liberal, Democrat, conservative, Republican. It's all there to control you, two sides of the same coin. Two management teams bidding for control, the CEO job of Slavery Incorporated. The truth is out there in front of you, but they lay out this buffet of lies. I'm sick of it, and I'm not going to take a bite out of it. Do you got me? Resistance is not futile. We're going to win this thing. Humankind is too good. We're not a bunch of underachievers. We're going to stand up, and we're going to be human beings. We're going to get fired up about the real things, the things that matter. Creativity and the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit. Well, that's it. That's all I got to say. It's in your court.
Alex. Yeah. Now, what's funny is I think Richard Linklater directed that movie. There is zero chance that they would have like an Alex Jones in today's world. Not happening. Well, what Alex is referring there, Randy, you have to remember, this is like early 2000s. He's talking about shit like the Patriot Act, right? The Iraq War, shit like that. Let's do some more super chats. Bandit gives 5 memberships. Thank you so much again. And Little Gremlin again for $5 says, can't go without my daily scaling question. Who wins? Featherteen, Augustus, Aurora, or the Presence? It's a great question. I've contemplated this many an evening. On one hand, you think that the Presence, given what we know, would be able to just basically wipe out anyone. But then, of course, Featherteen, Augustus, Aurora has outclassed folks in ways that we thought were unpredictable before. So I'm going to have to give the slight aid to the Presence for the aforementioned reasons. So pretty close, though. Pretty close battle. Great question. I'm glad that I could be here to answer these difficult questions. Yeah, Waking Life's a weird movie, man. That's the only part with Alex Jones. And that's a complete non sequitur to the rest of the movie. So don't think, I'm going to watch this movie and Alex Jones is like a major character. No. Oh, yeah, compared to his current dialogue. Sure, Andy, yeah. There's a bunch of weird philosophy and stuff in it. But, yeah, it's, you know. We're about $30 away. Someone will come through. Someone's going to give a big donation. We'll get one more. Oh, thank you so much to those on Rumble. Let's go. Brandon, the Uterus Thief. TLSKB. With a very bad suggestion. Landed Man Warring. Thank you. Oh, TL, you're killing me. Terms of service violation waiting to happen there. Bandit for another $2. Have I seen Amerigeddon, proper Red Dawn sequel? I've not. I haven't even heard of it until you mentioned it in chat. Bill Hicks. I don't know. There's something about people crashing out, screaming, cultural and political stuff that I have an affinity for. Good stuff. There we go. Pretend this is $5. There you go. You found... See, I could learn from you, Grifting Imaginarium. What an angle. If we just accept pretend monies, and in reality, at this point, the way the U.S. government spends, your pretend money might as well be just as good. Oh, let's see. Oh, there it is. Zachary Gelpy for $30 for the grift. Thank you so much. All right, that suffices. We'll stop torturing you all. You guys are the best. The Norbiters coming through again. All righty, let's... Now, here's all I ask. If you think I suck, then feel free to donate money during this to ensure that I don't sing again. If you think I did really good, then send money to encourage me to do it again. Let me know in the message how you feel about it. And then I hope that the audio is not slightly delayed. Sometimes that happens. If so, it's going to sound like shit no matter what. But if you think I did just average and I didn't suck or do really good, so you're not sending a super chat because I sucked or did really good, then send a super chat to let me know I did average. Actually, if you think I did average, then send Cash App, $ Rob Nor. That's where you could send. Oh, wait, no, wrong. Yeah, if you think I was just average, I'm a terrible singer, just so you know. I think I'm good, though, but deep down I know I'm not. You see? Words are malleable. Singing's just a social construct, so who the hell are you people to tell me if I'm bad? Yeah, the singing. No, wife, you keep your money. All right. Let's see. Share screen. All right. Now I'm going to... I don't know this particular karaoke version, but we're just going to do this. Here we go. Now, I know I run a risk here of everyone that's new watching me from the Crucible being like, this is the worst shit I've ever heard. I'm never watching this guy again. So that's the risk I'll run. But let me know if you guys could hear this. I got my water here. I should get my whiskey. I don't have anyone to do the second part, though. We'll have to see what happens. Y'all know me, still same OG, but I've been low-key, hated on by most of these people with no keys and no deals and no G's and no wheels, no keys, no boats, no snowmobiles and no skis. Mad at me because I can finally afford to provide my family with some groceries. Got a crib with a studio and it's all full of tracks to add to the wall full of plaques, hanging up in the office in the back of my house like trophies. Y'all think I'm gonna let my dough freeze? Hold please, better bow down on both knees. Who you think taught you to smoke trees? Who you think brought you the oldies? Easy E's, Ice Cubes, and DOCs, Snoop D-O Double G, and the group that said, motherfuck the police. Gave you a tape full of dope beats to pump when you stroll through in the hood. And when your album sales wasn't doing too good, who's the doctor that told you to go see? Y'all better listen up closely. All your folks that said that the firm flop on the firm flop, y'all are the reason that Dre ain't been getting no sleep. So fuck y'all, all y'all. If y'all don't like me, blow me. Y'all gonna keep fucking around with me and turn me back to the old me. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they want to live. It's just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they want to live. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. So what do you say to somebody you hate? Anyone trying to bring trouble your way? Wanna resolve things in a bloody way? Just study a tape of NWA. One day I was walking by when I caught a guy with a guy with a stick, and I strangled him off in the parking lot with his cock and I don't give a fuck if it's dark or not. I'm harder than me trying to park a Dodge while I'm drunk as fuck, right next to a humongous truck in a 2-car garage. Hopping out with 2 broken legs, trying to walk it off. Fuck you too, bitch, call the cops. I'ma kill you and your loud ass motherfucking barking dog. And when the cops came through, me and Dre stood next to a burnt down house with a can full of gas and a handful of matches. Still weren't found out. So from here on out, it's chronic too. Starting today, tomorrow's new. And I'm still local enough to choke you to death with the Johnston too. Chicka, Slim Shady. Hotter than a set of twin babies. And a Mercedes Benz with the windows up and the temp goes up to the mid-80s. Calling men ladies. Sorry, Doc, but I've been crazy. There's no way that you can save me. It's okay, go with him, Haley. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. It was up to me, motherfuckers stop coming up to me with your hands out looking up to me. You want something free? When my last CD's out, you won't bumping me. But now that I got a little company, everybody wanna come to me like it was some disease, but you won't get a crumb from me, cause I'm from the streets. I'm confident. Told them all little gangsters who you helped think help mold them all. Now you wanna run around talk about guns like I ain't got none. What you think I sold them all? Cause I stay well up. Now all I get's hate mail all day saying Dre fell up. What? Cause I've been in the lab with the pen and the pad trying to get the damn label up. I ain't having that. This is a millennium of aftermath. Ain't gonna be nothing after that. So give me one more platinum plaque and fuck rap, you can have it back. So where's all the mad rappers at? It's like a jungle in this habitat. But all you savage cats knew I was strapped with gas when you were cuddled in the cabbage patch. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Yay, we did it. We grifted. I hope I earned that $100. Now, I'll tell you a story. You're going to think I'm bullshitting you. I did stumble a little there. I apologize for that. But I blame the stumble on that it's too slow is how I blame it. I think the last time I did that song, I did it at 1.5 speed, which someone bet me a significant amount of money that I couldn't do. Oh, but I did it. Nate for $10 says, I'm fucking vibing. Listen, the hardest part of that is the N-word is said twice and not running afoul of the YouTube censors. That's tough when you're trying to talk fast. Bobby Ballbags for $2 says, put a little shit speaking it. Now we talking. I just need to go faster. Nate for $2 says, you're the great white hope. I try. Someone says, turn the mic down. No, I wasn't reading the chat. I assume everyone thought it was the greatest thing they ever heard. More beats per second. All right. I'll do it one more time, and we're going to go 1.5 speed. We'll at least try it. And if I do a good job, I know you ain't ever heard anyone singing at 1.5. So if I do a good job on 1.5, Wicked Wally is going to donate a little money. If I do it 1.5, right? Mic levels should be higher. Well, that I can't control. All right, we'll do one more time. And this time, shit, that's a 7-minute song? Damn. All right, we'll grift one more time. And just so people can see I'm not bullshitting you, we'll go over here, we'll go to the settings. Playback speed, 1.5. Okay, we'll give it a whirl. Turn the music down a smidge. Okay, music down a smidge. Can do. Now listen, this is some pretty heavy grifting shit. So if I even come across as any sort of acceptability here, I'm not going to say the word unless I screw up, and then I'm going to quickly take the stream off. If I say it. Blah, 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 blah. All right. How much is a smidge? I don't know. We're going to try to raise $50 with this incredible rendition. Faster than Dre sang it. Faster than M sang it. Here we go. We'll try. Make sure you guys can hear it. Okay. I think you guys should be able to hear it. Oh, no, this is the wrong song, so that's not going to help. Make sure we're still at 1.5 speed. Okay, here we go. Oh, this song's only 3 minutes and 45 seconds. I was going to say 7 minutes. Damn, time flew by. All right, here we go. Forgot About Dre. 1.5. $50. Here we go. All right. Let's raise the volume a little. Y'all know me, still same old G, but I've been low-key, hated on by most of these people with no cheese, no deals, no G's, no wheels, no keys, no boats, no snowmobiles, no skis. Mad at me, I can finally afford to provide the family's groceries. Got a crib with the studio and a ball full crank. Add to the ball full plaques, hanging up in the office back of my house like trophies. Y'all will think I'm the dope, please, hold please. Better bow down on both knees. Who you think taught you smoke trees? Who you think brought you AODs, Easy-E's, Ice Cubes, and DOCs? Cynthia Double G's in the group that said, motherfuck the police. Save your tape of dope beats, trump on your shoulder in the hood. When the album sales weren't doing too good, who's the doctor told you to go see? Y'all better listen up closely. All these people said I turned plot and firm plot. Y'all the reason Dre is beginning no sleep. So fuck y'all. All y'all don't like me, flow me. Y'all gonna keep fucking around with me and turn me back to the old me. Nowadays everybody gonna talk. Got something to say. Nothing comes out when you move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like forgot about Dre. Nowadays everybody talk. Like who I'm something to say. Nothing comes out when you move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like forgot about Dre. What do you say to somebody you hate? Anyone try to be trouble way? One for solve things in a bloody way. Study your tape of NWA. way. One day I was walking by with the Walkman on when I caught a guy getting knocked with eye, and I strangled him off in the parking lot with the coke and I don't give a fuck if it's dark or not. Harder than me trying to park a Dodge when I'm drunk as fuck. Right next to me, my truck in a 2-car garage. Hopping out with 2 broken legs trying to walk it up. Fuck you too, bitch, call the cops. I'ma kill you and your loudest motherfucker walk it up. The cops came through me and transferred next to a burnt down house. Can't feel the gas and a handful of matches. Still got found out. From here on out, it's chronic too. Starting today, tomorrow's anew. And I'm still local enough to choke you to death with the Slim Shady. Hotter than this is twin babies. And Mercedes Benz with the window up, the temp goes up to mid-80s. Come on, in, ladies. Sorry, Doc, but I've been crazy. There's no way you can't save me. It's okay, go with him, Haley. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk, they got something to say, but none comes out when you hear the lip shits, a bunch of stupid motherfuckers exactly forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wants to talk, we got something to say, but none comes out when you move the lip shits, a bunch of stupid motherfuckers exactly forgot about Dre. It's up to me, motherfuckers, stop coming up to me with your hands out, looking up to me like you want something free. When I see you, you won't post me. Now I got a little company, everybody wanna come see something to see, but he won't get a crumb from me, cause I'm from the street. Told them all little gangsters, who you think helped mold them all? Now you wanna run around talk about guns like I ain't got one. But you think it's told them all, cause stay well up? Now I get hate mail all day saying Dre fell up. What? Cause I've been alive with the pen and pad trying to get the damn label up. Having that, this millennium and aftermath. Ain't gonna be nothing after that. So give me one more platinum plaque, fuck rap, you can have a track. So where's all the bad rabbits at? It's like a jungle just habitat. With all you savage cats, you love strap cats when you cut the apple traps. Nowadays, everybody don't talk like you got something to say, but nothing comes out when you move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Bitches act like you're hard of a tray. Nowadays, everybody don't talk like you got something to say, but nothing comes out when you move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody don't talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Motherfuckers act like forgot about Dre. Woo! There we go. Now we're talking. Shit. Ah, man. What a sellout I am. Say it. That's my audience's reaction. Say the word. You bastards. Yeah, that's enough grifting for the night. Now, surely I was worth $50. I'll bet you've never heard. It was okay, right? There were a couple times I felt like I was half a beat off. A couple times. But yeah, not too shabby, right? I bet you never saw anyone do it. Shit. I tell you, the song I want to do is who the hell is it? I can't think of it. My wife knows the guy. I don't know. There's some rapper. Wife is a rapper. I used to listen to the song I was gonna do. It's very, very fast. I don't know if she knows the one I'm talking about. I don't know. It's I don't know. That's how I should debate, though, right? Let's get some grift. John Rock for $2 says, just do not kneel for BLM. I will not be. Or draw a line in the sand. Don't worry. Nate for $10 says, motherfuckers act like they forgot about Rob. Enjoyed the first one more. Me too. That sucks trying to keep up with that shit. John Rock for $2 says, holy shit, you did it. Love it. Thank you. Zachary Gelpy, incredibly generous tonight, says, Rob, do the Watcher by Dre. I don't know it. But next time, I'll learn it. Bobby Ballbags for $2 says, Nedward Rob confirmed. Thank you. Didn't quite get $50 on that grift there. It's not Tech 9. My wife wouldn't. No, it's not Twista. Twista's very fast too. Eminem's on the song with him. I can't think of it though. It's a guy who's doing a song with Eminem. Oh, geez. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not going to do it tonight because I have it. Oh, that's it. No. You know, she makes me listen to this crap. You think she'd... Robert Whaley for $2 says you have to try Pickle Rick by Eco. I don't know who that is. I have to learn some of this stuff. Nate for $2 says, I'm beginning to feel like a rap Rob. Thank Let's see if she. I don't know who it is. Oh, it is Logic. That's right. And what's the name of the song? Busta. Busta's good. All right. So. Oh, that's it. Yeah. I can't do it at time and a half. I know that for a fact. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to play a portion of the song. But I never got a chance to do this at, like, actual karaoke out at the bar. I would like to do it.
Bustin' like an addict with a semi-automatic, who done had it and he ready for anybody to buck back. Hold on, catch a vibe, ain't no way in hell we leaving nobody alive, even suicide, no fuck that. Bobby feeling villainous, he killing this. I'm coming for your man and his lady, and even a baby. I'm feeling like I'm chicken, slim shady with rabies. I'm foaming at the mouth, ain't nobody taking me out. Every single rapper in the industry, yeah, they know what I'm about, and I dare you to test me, cause not a single one of you motherfuckers impress me.
All right, that's enough. We'll try to not run afoul of the, but yeah, Logic. That's the name. I was like, I knew it wasn't any other ones people said. Wicked Wally, we finally got his money. Yes, we got you, you dirty bastard. $5. Says, I haven't felt this multicultural since I slipped on ice in February and made me kneel in the street during Black History Month. Well, guess what June is? Pride Month, baby. Woo! We're going to celebrate like you wouldn't believe here on my channel for Pride Month. Oh, yes. We are quite prideful around here. We know our betters. We know where to celebrate. Do they have karaoke at Chuck E. Cheese? My wife wants to know. I don't know. My guess is they don't have Eminem at Chuck E. Cheese, though. Aesop Rock has the record for most unique words per minute. Yeah, listen to his tracks to get your vocab and diction up. They say that the human brain can understand 500 words per minute. That's what they used to tell us in debate. I don't know if that's true, but that was the claim. Oh no, I have a feeling a special guest is going to come on my show a lot in June, at least once a week. I think you guys are going to like him / her / they. Trust me. All right. We got Wally's money. Now listen, I didn't want to say this. I was going to save this information for later. But the whole purpose of me streaming full time and grifting for money off you all wasn't for me to make money. It's to convince Wicked Wally to send me his money so that he ends up poor and destitute. That was the plan. Me and a bunch of other people came together and was like, we'll just pretend to send super chats and shit to convince Wicked Wally to send his money in so that he ends up homeless. It's just a huge practical joke. So we got 5 of his dollars today. I feel like 4 or 5 streams more and the dude's going to be out in the street. So we're doing it, chat. We're killing it. Wally is out. Get his ass out. We're done dealing with him. Too many dad jokes. The community has come together to end his menace. What do I got on here? Someone's messaging me. No, it was nothing. It was on X. Don't worry, Wally. Yeah, once you're homeless, then we'll build you back up, man. So that's the goal. I'll never go broke. We're gonna put it to the test. Wasn't there a sketch? Like, I always thought that, like, run for president, and my whole platform would be like, this one guy sucks. Like, if you elect me, we're gonna fuck with Wicked Wally every day of his life. That's we're gonna, like, in the most, like, secondhand ways. Like, we're just gonna, like, do shit like there's gonna be helicopters flying over his house 24/7 so he can't sleep, right? And we're just going to have, like, everything he wants to do. Oh, you have to have a permit from man. You're parking too close to the street. Now you can't park there. What are you doing? You left your lawnmower in the yard? What the hell are you doing, man? Now you can't do that. Just, like, little shit just to drive him insane. I feel like that'd be a good platform. The whole country would come together just to screw one person over. Be like, this person's just unlikable. Let's just fuck them over, right? They Dems did try that. That was their whole strategy. It just happened to be a billionaire they were messing with. That's a good one, Magus. Very good. Yeah, EOD nailed it too. Yeah. Nate says, if Rob raps again, I'll watch every one of his streams from here on out. I don't know what else to rap. I'm out of raps for the night. Sorry. One time I broke the karaoke machine at the bar that my our landlord owned this bar. We went down, they got a karaoke machine. It was the first night, and I was singing Mother by Danzig. Mother, who I done. Bam, speakers blew up. No shit, totally true. Since then, I've dubbed myself King of Karaoke in our county, a title I will never relinquish. I don't know that I've done karaoke since that night. And yet, still I am king. And there is no democracy. I am a monarch when it comes to Clarion County karaoke. Yeah, my wife does it. He knows that one rap song. I'm learning. Leave me alone, wife. I don't really listen to much rap music. Now, that's not to say that I've got some sort of racial animus. Because I'll listen to me to some, Curtis Blow. I'll listen to that shit. These are the breaks. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. That's sort of my inner city music, like Digital Underground, Curtis Blow. She's playing basketball. They're playing basketball. To the hoop, yo. I listen to that shit all day. Yes, that's true, Wally. No one would regret you being center of attention. Can I do Major Modern General from Gilbert and Sullivan? I don't know it, but I'm sure I could learn it. Can I do Metallica at 2 times speed? Whoo! 2 times. Give me 4, give me 5, give me 5%. That'd be a rough one. I guess it depends on the song. Slick Rick? Yep. Oh, yeah. The Pusher Man. Hank does like Metallica. It was one of his first bands that adult music that he liked. Because for a while he would call that fake music, and real music was like the shit he listens to that's like Danny Go, and stuff like that. Return of the Mac, one of my favorites. I love that song. You're lying to me. I don't have a good singing voice, though. I could talk fast. That's about it. I could also do some mean Tom Waits. Because his voice sounds like this. So I'm able to sing a little like this sometimes. That's Tom Waits. There was a murder in the red barn. Murder in the red barn. But Tom Waits' whole shtick is that he's intentionally being a bad singer, which I could be a bad singer, so I could do that all right, I got to get some Crucible merch, is what I got to do, so that I can make fun of Andrew a little better. We're going to start a little meme war, me and Andrew, after he sent me this. I think I did a great job grifting tonight. So to hell with whoever made the Virgin Rob mean. And I have a child, which is biologically mine. Not to go into too much detail, but I am challenging the accuracy of that term. Just saying. Yeah, I like me some Tom Waits, man. Weird dude. Very good. Yeah, let's hear Andrew sing Forgot About Dre at time and a half. Impossible. Oh, yeah, the Creedence. It's one of my, Big Lebowski, it's one of my favorite. When his car gets stolen, the cops are like, I wouldn't hold up much. Hope for the tape deck, though. And the black cop's just like, or the Credence. He lists all the shit that got stolen, his Credence cassettes. Funny shit. My grifting style the same as DSP, except I make money. That means a lot coming from John Cena, too. That Tom Waits, yeah. Yeah, Lebowski's take on the Eagles. Hate the fucking Eagles, man. Fuck you, motherfucker. Get your own damn cab. I love that movie. Oh. Good. The fact that Andrew hates rap, I'll have to create a rap song. Is that what they call them? Rap songs? I may be the whitest guy in the world. Hey, fellows, how would you like to listen to me sing a rap song? Oh, thanks so much, Suda. Normally I'm talking politics and stuff. We're having a little fun here. We try to go 2 hours politics and we just mess around. But like I said, tomorrow, Dark Side Phil. Yeah, I'm not much of a Dark Side Phil guy. Tomorrow I thought about doing, part of my show is going to be about the movie Beauty and the Beast and why Gaston is the man. So I think we're going to talk about that a little tomorrow. And I'm actually trying to do some research for that because my wife likes that movie, and so I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. She could watch the movie happy, and I could watch the movie and take down notes and shake my head. Yeah, I know Tech Nine. I just don't know any of his songs well enough to do karaoke. You get Andrew's voice to an AI to do a rap. That is correct. That is exactly what I'm trying to do. My wife's other favorite movie is the original Space Jam, so I don't have to shit on that anymore. LeBron James ruined the memory of that movie enough. Oh, Robert Whaley said Gundam. Oh, well, we all know Christopher Sabat voiced that guy in the red Gundam suit in the dub in the 1 series, whose name escapes me right now, only because the action sequence was so impressive. R. Kelly's an interesting case, right? Like, I've asked people this, like, what do you do when it turns out that some person that created some form of art you like ends up being a really crappy person? Like, I used to really like these simple landscape paintings, and then it turns out this guy in Austria painted them. And I was like, wait, what's this guy's name? Oh. It was a little risque. But like R. Kelly, you tell me that Remix to Ignition's not a good song? It's a great song. R. Kelly sucks, but Remix to Ignition's, come on, man. Every time you're at the bar line, come on. I should have mentioned an Austrian painter. Now all of a sudden, I get the wrong crowd coming in here tonight. Like, what? The Gripers will be like, what? Some guy streaming talk about that Austrian painter? Gripers, assemble! They're like Beetlejuice, man. You bring that guy up and they're like, who's that? What's that? What did you say? Yeah, I know. You separate the art from the art. You're trying to tell me the Cosby Show's not funny? Cosby Show's still funny. I laugh at the Cosby Show. It's even worse if you happen to be like someone with conservative values. Everybody in Hollywood making anything hates you. So you watch anything, you're like, 80% of the people that worked on this movie probably hope I die. But, yes, Courtney is my wife. Courtney Nora is my wife. Postal Joe gives 5 memberships with excellent, one of my favorite shows ever. Speaking of people that would hate my worldview, Jerry Seinfeld. Also seemed to have an affinity for the young ladies. Used to date a girl in high school. But yeah, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. And Seinfeld's one of my all-time favorite shows. In fact, maybe you'll appreciate this, Postal Joe. My cup that I'm drinking out of is a Vandalay Industries. Importers, exporters. They work in latex. That's a Seinfeld joke. Oh, Jerry. What are you doing, Jerry? My wife did buy me that Vanderlei Industries cup. It's a very nice cup. Oh, yeah. See? Wife, see? Having a man of impeccable character exclusively to yourself. That was better than any donation. I'm gonna be smug as shit when I go downstairs tonight. I'm gonna say, did you see? Did you see what Suda thought of me? Just saying. Exclusively too, yes. Kramer's related to a guy at your work. Wow. I was going to be invited to a wedding at one point with the chick from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it didn't happen. Well, I was at the wedding, but the chick didn't show up. I forget her name. Sweet D in the show, but I forget her real name. But she was related to someone on the bride's side of the family and was invited. It's probably a good thing because I'd have been like, I have questions. Let's see. Who's on the Crucible chat? I see. Oh, look at this. I was gonna say I see Avarice on here. I see Nish. So I go check the comfy voice chat. Kaz is still on there. He sounds like he's got a better mic. I used like Kaz would call in and talk to me for like 2 hours, and he'd be like I'm bad with the mic because I do this a lot, which is not good, right? But Kaz would be like, this is like talking to Kaz. It'd be like, capitalism. Except he has an accent to go along with it. And I'd be like, huh? It sounds like you're saying some smart shit, Kaz, but we can't hear you. All of my redneck friends that are watching this don't understand your accent anyways with a good mic, you know? And they talk about like Kaz and them, they talk about shit at a level that's like it escapes me. Like, I picture this. Like, this is how I picture like people like Casimir and like the ANCAPs, who I like, don't get me wrong, but they'd be like this. It'd be like, this is my impression of like Casimir. Oh, look at this, a cup. I wonder if I should get a drink out of this cup. Well, first we have to consider, where did the materials for the cup come from? Do I deserve the refreshing liquid within? And where did that liquid come from? How will that work within my biology? Am I using force upon ingesting said liquid? Was there any labor that went into this? It's just like, good thought, Kaz. Delicious. That's my impression of like sometimes talking. It's not just Kaz. It's like all these people that are super like philosophical. It's like, okay, yeah, I hear you, you know. But I like it. Bill Hicks says Kaz puts me to sleep. I like him. I feel like I could listen to Kaz all night. And I have. I do a 24-hour stream, usually once a year or once every other year on election, before the elections. And Kaz always is like one of the dudes that'll come on at like 5 a.m. when I'm like balls tired. And he'll just talk for like 2 hours. I'm like, thanks so much for being here, Kaz. Tell me a little more about what's this Hop? Tell me about that guy. What's up with this Mises guy? What you got to say about him? And Kaz will be like, oh. He's on it, man. See, now Nish is over in that chat, and I hope he's talking shit to Kaz. That would be nice. That'd be nice if Nish went over there and was like, yeah, eat shit, Kaz. How about that? Rob's talking shit on you. How about that? Oh, I used to love the Kaz and Fabian together debates. It's good stuff. They can't help themselves. But it's like telling a Christian, like, well, you can't insert your Christianity into this debate. It's like, yeah, that's fundamental to who I am. Like when Pearl said that to Andrew, it's like, what do you mean? I can't talk about where my sense of morality comes from and the goals that I would like to see accomplished in life, in my life and in society. Yeah, that comes from my religion. It's the same with the ANCAPs. It's like, well, how can you really have a conversation with them that's not grounded in their principles of what human interaction should look like? Nash and J-Dog, put a star by your names. Do it now. How about that? I don't know if they'll listen. So far, my grift's been paying off, though. Listen, I'm going to be out of here shortly, but I'm officially at 71 super chats and memberships grifted tonight. Let's make it a nice, even 75. It could be $2 donations. We don't care. We need 4 to make it to 75, and then I could go to bed. Also, worth celebrating, I am officially less than 2 weeks left in my old job. There is a solid chance that they're going to just pay out my 5 weeks of vacation I have, and then I won't have to work that second week. But I'm almost done. How much did I make tonight? I think we're probably close to like 460, 470 would be my guess. Oh, there we go. Magus gives another 5 memberships. Above and beyond tonight, Magus. Truly a Norbiter for the ages. Wonderful. Oh, there we got another. J-Dog becomes a member. There he is. Just needed avarice to provoke me to give him the business. Oh, yeah, I also have a cash app. Good night, Magus. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We always appreciate the new members too, J-Dog. Because then I can tell all my shitty jokes that people are tired of. I'll be like, oh, don't worry. J-Dog didn't hear this one. The rest of you 300 people, be quiet now. J-Dog don't know about this shit, so. Always nice to get a new member. I am officially part of the Crucible. I have been hired on to be a member of the Crucible to help out with all things related to the channel, to where I could help. And to also help with debate preparation, research. So, yeah. Andrew Wilson, awesome. Hired me on. I'll always be thankful. One of the hardest things to do to become a full-time streamer is if you're... Well, first off, I have to be specific. If you're, like, conservative and you're trying to become a full-time streamer, you probably have, like, a wife and kids that you need to support. You probably don't live in your parents' basement. You probably are employed somewhere. It's not like the lefty experience. It's not like the average lefty experience, right? Instead, it's tough to quit a job that's giving you a guaranteed check to come and take a risk streaming because, like, what if a platform like YouTube decides, yeah, you know what, we're going to ban you, we're going to demonetize you, whatever. It's tough. And so I probably would have never done it. I would have probably never became a full-time streamer because I had to provide for my family and I needed guaranteed money. But getting hired on by the Crucible is guaranteed money. And so if YouTube kicks me to the curb tomorrow, I'm still going to be an employee of the Crucible. I won't be able to stream to YouTube, but so it really makes a huge difference. And despite what all the feminists will tell you, Andrew's actually one of the nicest guys. He's one of the only guys like that's a big streamer that's actually like legitimate. Everyone's like putting on this character that like, oh, I'm this really nice guy and blah blah blah, and then they just suck. They want to stab you in the back, or they don't want it. They don't want to. Oh, if people are watching that person, then they're not watching me, and shit like that. I don't have the time of day for that. Me and Andrew share the same philosophy, which is we want to dominate these spaces for conservative ideals. That's our opinion on it. And if that means that it's Andrew doing it, I couldn't be happier. And if that means it's some other conservative person that comes along, great. It's not going to be someone that completely shares my values because I'm my own person. But that's what I want to see. And I want to build my own channel. Obviously, now it's a job of mine to provide for my family, clearly. But I also want to crush in these spaces. I want to make these lefties puke with the fact that how successful we're becoming. That's what I want. I want to win every single debate that any of us have. That's my goal. So, I'm happy to be part of the Crucible to be doing that. So, and it's easy because you're working with a bunch of really good people. So, it makes it easy. All right, we need 2 more donations and I'll get out of here and stop waxing poetic. It could be donations of any value. It'll get us to 75 donations on the night, which will meet the goal. I think we had 80 last time, but that's the other thing that I'm really impressed with. Like the past few nights, like the one night you had like Avarice and other people on here that are dropping huge money. which is great. And I'll take your huge money. Trust me. But it's also nice to see getting a lot of individual donations, which I think is a sign of a healthy stream and a healthy community. So, how much am I aligned with Andrew's political views? Like, you believe in all the way to women not having voting rights? No, I think women should have the right to vote. So I disagree on that part. I also kind of don't mind gay marriage, though. Actually, me and Andrew have more similarities than you would believe, because I think both of us think the state shouldn't be involved in marriage. But I think once the state is involved, then they probably can't discriminate based on two adults that want to enter into that financial arrangement. I would not say I'm as much of a Christian nationalist or Christian populist as Andrew, but most things, it's weird because we both like debating, and I oftentimes find that similarities are less interesting than differences. So a lot of times, if you see me and Andrew interacting, it's going to be debating each other. So we're going to find things that we fringe disagree with. So I feel like that a lot of people would think, oh, Rob and Andrew have these huge differences. No, not really. We agree on like 98% of shit. It's just what little differences we have we're debating about all the time, because that's what we're doing. We got the 357. Look at that. Lost Avarice. Sock 1, Sock 2. Oh, Lost Avarice. Thank you so much. Also, I'm going to start, maybe on the weekends especially, just doing like non-political streams, though half this stream is non-political. And I thought the easiest way to do that would be to just have a community to play games with and shit. And I think Avarice has convinced me, since it's his specialty and he helps out with servers and what have, I believe, to play Rust, which I'm sure will be comically bad for me. Because I'm not very good at first-person shooters anyways, and I've never been good at sort of build your base up type games. So I would guess that I'll be comically bad at Rust. But I'll be happy to give her a go and play with people on the weekends and what have. So I'll be hitting Avarice up for advice to how to get started in that and shit. But I'm almost done. I'm almost done with this old job, and I'll actually have complete free time to just relax and to do my job, whether it be working with the Crucible to make sure that we're crushing debates, or whether it be doing my own streaming shit. Rust is a sort of, Avarice could correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never played it, but I've seen videos. I would liken Rust to a combination of like Call of Duty and Minecraft. So imagine that you're playing like a shooting game like Call of Duty, but you're getting all these resources and you're building up a base, and people could just come in and steal all your shit if you don't build your base up, like, so that it can't be invaded. And you can make, like, instead of just, picking your loadout class, I'm going to start with the shotgun. You, like, find the resources to make weapons and shit. Rust is also a movie where the Baldwin brother killed a lady. Also true. John Rock, thanks so much for a super sticker. Thank you. Yeah, it depends on the server, but I think you lose all your stuff when you die in most of them. Yeah, there's like, EOD says, there's like 100 other people in there that want to steal all your shit. That's the hard part, right? Yeah. Minecraft with Uzis. Yes, good. Sounds good. That sounds about right. I'm sure I'll be horrible at it. I used to play Call of Duty, the one where it was like, it's sort of like Fortnite, where the map, what's it called? Warzone, right? Where the map shrinks. And I played with two friends of mine, and literally my job would be like, they'd be like, all right, man, you suck. So just like run out there in the open. And then whenever you get taken out, we'll see where the guys that shot you from are. And then we'll beat them. That was basically my strategy. I used to play SOCOM 2. That's how old I am. That was the last like shooting game that I played, and I was reasonable at. I wasn't good. I was like average. I would have basically as many kills as deaths. But yeah, I'm not a very good video game player at this point either. Young Rob might have been all right. I think it's fun to go back and play the games I played when I was a kid, like Super Mario World. And I remember, maybe I have false memories, but I remember as a kid, like Sonic the Hedgehog, all those games, Super Mario World and shit. I was like, awesome. I knew every secret. I could beat the game, no problem. Now I go back and play, and I'm like, what the, like, I'm terrible. I can't do shit. Golf with friends is the shit. Yeah, SOCOM 2, that was my jam, man. It started to get hacked real bad. I remember people were like cheating like crazy and shit at one point, but yeah, I like that game. the thing I liked about SOCOM, it was like if you got taken out, you were done for the round. You didn't like respawn or whatever. Rust is a pain simulator. All right, I'm gonna go. I could sit here and talk about video games that I'm terrible at. Out blue in the face. But you guys were incredibly generous tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. Should be streaming tomorrow night unless crazy shit happens with my work, but I don't anticipate that. Crazy shit might happen, and it might be that I'm unemployed 2 weeks earlier than I expected. That might be what's likely to happen. But yeah, it was a fun stream tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it. I did. Is there anyone to raid? Is anyone? I guess I should have checked that before I said I was leaving. Now you guys get to watch me struggle to remember how to raid. Oh boy. I'll leave you guys suggest. Is there someone to raid? If not, I'm not gonna raid Tom. I'm trying not to raid lefties. It's not, it's not against them. I don't wish them ill. But why the hell am I gonna help their channel intentionally? No thanks. Is Sarah on? Spanish Elf? I'm just not gonna raid tonight. All right. Well, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the grift, enjoyed the politics. Tomorrow we'll talk about politics and probably Beauty and the Beast. Listen, my jam's going to be coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm not going to hold my breath, but Kash Patel says that they're going to release more Russiagate documents. Oh boy. Can't wait. We'll go through them. So it might take a couple. Sarah's on? Well, if Sarah's on, I'll raid. Give me a second. All right. I think I'm figuring this out. Edit video. Yep. We did that. Customization. Yup. Add. Yeah. Search videos. No, let's see. I don't see that Sarah's on. Okay. I don't. You guys always making things hard, EOD. No, I'm just kidding. Is it on our backup channel? The Gauntlet. Okay. There we go. All righty. We found it. Okay, well, enjoyed this raid of Sarah's channel. Thank you all so much. Your financial contributions, extremely, extremely important to me, and thank you so much for that. Everyone else, thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the chat. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all did as well. We'll do it all again tomorrow evening. I'm going to go downstairs and get some sleep, probably watch some Forged in Fire before I go to bed. Good show to fall asleep to. So thank you always. We will see you all tomorrow. And as always, have a good one.